Chapter 3964. The battle that surpassed the extreme grade shocked the entire ancestral realm. Almost all the supremes of the 5 great regions of the ancestral realm came. Hundreds of extreme grade supremes appeared at the same place at the same time. Such a thing had never happened even in the darkest times of the ancestral realm. When the battle ended, only Jiyu Fei, the Shooting Sun Supreme, and the others walked out. Everyone was so shocked that their eyeballs almost popped out of their sockets. 1 against 3, and he actually won? How is that possible? Where are the Sky Clan's patriarch and the others? They couldn't have been killed by Jiyu Fei, right? The auras of the 3 of them have all disappeared. After the shock, everyone was in an uproar. It should be known that the Sky Clan's patriarch, the Li Clan's first ancestor, and the Chu Clan's old monster Chu, these 3 super experts, had actually died. In the previous battle, the pressure from the 4 extreme grade supremes almost suffocated the hundreds of extreme grade supremes of the ancestral realm. Some of the weaker supremes couldn't even get close and could only watch from afar. Only peak extreme grade supremes and even supremacies could watch the battle from a close distance. The Eastern Region's supremes also came. When a few Eastern Region supremes sensed Jiyu Fei's aura, their expressions turned extremely ugly. The Qi Clan supremes, Qi Zhu, had been killed by Jiyu Fei not long ago, and the entire Qi Clan had been destroyed. Although that battle didn't cause as much of a commotion as the battle between Jiyu Fei and the Sky Clan's patriarch, the death of an Eastern Region supremes shook the entire Eastern Region. Even the supremes of the other regions received the news. An extreme grade sovereign was a supreme existence even in the primogenitor's realm, where there were countless powerhouses. The lives and deaths of billions of beings could be decided by a single thought of theirs. Even the death of an initial stage extreme grade supremes would cause a huge commotion, not to mention that it wasn't an ordinary supremes, but an Eastern Region supremes king. King of supremes was the king among supremes. Only supremes who had achieved great success in the extreme grade were qualified to be called kings. As soon as they saw Jiyu Fei walking out from the battlefield, the 3 king of supreme beings from the Eastern Region hurriedly walked over and saluted Jiyu Fei. Trembling with fear, they apologized and tried to explain the misunderstanding from before. "It's you." When Jiyu Fei attacked the Eastern Region's Qi Clan's ancestral land, many supreme being level existences were alarmed. Even the 3 supreme being kings were alerted. Their divine senses manifested and descended upon the Qi Clan's ancestral land to observe the battle. However, at that time, Jiyu Fei had casually dealt with the 3 kings of supreme beings. He had not placed the 3 kings of supreme beings in his eyes at all. He had almost forgotten about this matter. 2 of them weren't from the human race. One was a huge black snake, the other was a tiger, and the last one was a supreme king from the Eastern Region's Yi Clan. The large black snake was the black mystic supreme king of the Eastern Region's 12 supreme kings, and the tiger was the Sky Tiger Supreme King, the Yi Clan Supreme King, Yi Beichen. Jiyu Fei merely waved his hand at the Black Mystic Supreme King and the others without paying them any heed. He then led his subordinates and soared into the sky, disappearing from this world in an instant. When the fog that shrouded the entire battlefield dissipated, all the supreme beings were taken aback. What they saw was a land of destruction. They saw that the laws of heaven and earth in the vicinity of this battlefield were all in a mess. There were even cracks appearing in the void without any warning. These were spatial cracks. The void of heaven and earth in the ancestral realm was incomparably stable. Only supreme being level existences could shake the void of heaven and earth. It was extremely difficult to repair the shattered void because this was damage caused by the eternal energy. Even the laws of heaven and earth in the ancestral realm couldn't repair it in a short period of time. Jiyu Fei actually turned a blind eye to the hundreds of supreme beings. This shocked all the other supreme beings. Some of them were a little dissatisfied, but when they recalled that this Jiyu Fei was a legendary supreme existence in the eternal realm, they all lost their temper. After Jiyu Fei left, the hundreds of supreme beings instantly burst into an uproar. It could be said that they had witnessed a miracle today. The southern region, or even the entire ancestral realm, would probably be in an uproar because the first true supreme existence in the eternal realm had appeared in the ancestral realm. Today was an extraordinary day for the supreme beings in the ancestral realm. The appearance of Jiyu Fei allowed them to witness the existence of the eternal realm. To a certain extent, it pointed out the direction of cultivation for the hundreds of supreme beings. Some supreme beings didn't even know about the existence of the eternal realm. They thought that the extreme Tao realm was the limit. It was especially so for those supreme lords. Their cultivation base had already broken through to the extreme Tao mystic realm. It was impossible for them to advance any further. But now, surpassing the extreme Tao was no longer a dream for all the supreme beings. The hundreds of supreme beings gradually dispersed long after the battle ended. Some supreme beings even sat cross-legged outside the battlefield and closed their eyes to cultivate. No one dared to casually step into the battlefield ahead because there were remnants of the eternal laws there. Although the power of the laws was only a remnant, it was definitely enough to kill a supreme being. Jiyu Fei directly devoured the Sky Clan's old clan master, the Li Clan's first primogenitor, and old monster Chu. This caused a huge upheaval in the three supreme clans of the southern region. Especially the Li Clan. They lost two supreme beings in one go, leaving only the Li Clan's second primogenitor to hold down the fort. The Li Clan instantly went from being the strongest clan in the southern region to a second-rate force. As for the Sky Clan, they were all silent. The Sky Clan looked very calm on the surface, but there were many people fighting openly and covertly within the Sky Clan. And the Chu clan was the most miserable. After old monster Chu's death, the entire Chu clan immediately fell into chaos. Even the current clan master of the Chu clan couldn't suppress it. There were even people fighting within the Chu clan. The Chu clan's strength rapidly declined. In the end, the Chu clan was in danger of being exterminated. And at this time, Jiyu Fei brought a group of subordinates and directly arrived at the Li clan's ancestral land. Greetings, Senior Jiyu. The Li clan's second primogenitor hurriedly led a group of Li clan powerhouses out to greet him. Although Jiyu Fei had just killed the Li clan's first and third primogenitors, the Li clan's second primogenitor still had to be respectful to Jiyu Fei and didn't dare to slight him in the slightest. At this time, the Li clan's second primogenitor almost vomited blood. However, he had no choice but to greet Jiyu Fei with a smile. If he wanted to preserve the Li clan's orthodoxy, he couldn't offend Jiyu Fei. If he offended Jiyu Fei, he could be exterminated by Jiyu Fei at any time. The Li clan's second primogenitor wasn't stupid. He already knew that Jiyu Fei had acted aggressively in the eastern region and destroyed the Qi clan. At this time, Jiyu Fei suddenly arrived at the Li clan's ancestral land. All the powerhouses of the Li clan were stunned. They didn't know what to do and didn't dare to offend Jiyu Fei. In fact, Jiyu Fei didn't have anywhere else to go. The Li clan's ancestral land wasn't very far from here. Jiyu Fei ignored the Li clan's second primogenitor and the others. Instead, he walked into the depths of the Li clan's ancestral land. The Shooting Sun Supremacy and the others stood guard outside. The Li clan's second primogenitor didn't know what Jiyu Fei was doing there. All of them were trembling with fear. Some powerhouses of the Li clan even left the Li clan's ancestral land. The Li clan's second primogenitor even sent some juniors with limitless potential out of the ancestral land. Although the Shooting Sun Supremacy and the others saw the Li clan's actions, they didn't care at all. At this time, the Li clan was nothing in their eyes. In the cultivation world, the strong preyed on the weak. Even though Jiyu Fei had killed the Li clan's first and third primogenitors, the Li clan didn't even dare fart, let alone seek revenge on Jiyu Fei. The news that Jiyu Fei had gone to the Li clan spread quickly. What's going on? What is Jiyu Fei trying to do? Someone exclaimed. This was really hard to understand. No one knew what Jiyu Fei was trying to do. Jiyu Fei actually killed the old clan lord. In the Sky Clan's ancestral land, an incomparably old voice came from the depths of the ancestral land. As for the Chu clan, it had completely declined. The news that Jiyu Fei was in the Li clan's ancestral land quickly spread throughout the southern region and even other regions. In an instant, the Li clan's ancestral land was as crowded as a marketplace. Countless powerhouses came to visit Jiyu Fei. Even Supremes came to visit Jiu Fei with an invitation. However, it was a pity that everyone was stopped by the Shooting Sun Supremacy and the others. Even Supremes had to abide by the rules here. If they didn't, the consequences would be unpredictable. Jiu Fei didn't see anyone and hid in the depths of the Li clan's ancestral land. He needed to train in seclusion for a period of time to completely refine the 3 surpassing extreme Dao powers that he had devoured. When that time came, his cultivation would definitely improve significantly. Rumble, in the depths of the Li clan's ancestral land, a black-robed young man sat cross-legged on a large rock. Sounds of wind and thunder came from his body. The surpassing extreme Dao powers were constantly being refined by him. A faintly discernible aura appeared between heaven and earth, enveloping the entire Li clan's ancestral land. Jiu Fei sat there for 3 months. During these 3 months, his cultivation kept improving. His entire temperament seemed to have changed. At this time, there were still many people who came to visit Jiu Fei. However, Jiu Fei didn't see any of them. At Jiu Fei's level of cultivation, he could do whatever he wanted. He didn't need to pay attention to anyone, nor did he need to explain himself to anyone. At this time, Jiu Fei was definitely the ruler of the entire southern region. He could be called the domain lord. In the ancestral realm, among the 5 great regions, only the southern region's Jiu Fei had the right to be the domain lord. The other regions were all divided among the major factions. At this time, the Celestial and Chu clan both sent representatives to request to see Jiu Fei. However, these 2 fellows didn't even see Jiu Fei's shadow. They only stayed for a while before leaving the Li clan's ancestral land to report back. Rumble, at this time, in the depths of the ancestral realm star region, countless figures appeared in a desolate starry sky. These mysterious existences all emitted a powerful saint-level aura. In this silent starry sky, there were countless cracks, and figures walked out from the cracks in the void. Then, they gathered. This was a creature from the other side. The reappearance of foreign beings was a major event for the entire ancestral realm. After news of their disappearance spread, the entire ancestral realm was in an uproar. For the fastest and most accurate novel reading, please visit Chapter 3965. In the primogenitor's realm, it referred to the living beings in the small worlds and grotto heavens. There were many such grotto heavens and small worlds in the primogenitor's realm. These grotto heavens and small worlds were hidden in the void, forming a world of their own. If the primogenitor's realm was a giant bubble, then the small worlds and grotto heavens were the countless bubbles outside the giant bubble. These bubbles were the primogenitor's realm's foreign lands. Some were big, some were small. Some were almost perfect worlds, some were just grotto heavens. The primogenitor's realm was just too big. The primogenitor's realm's cultivators had discovered many primogenitor's realms, but there were even more hidden in the void. Even Supremes couldn't sense their existence. Some primogenitor's realm was full of spirit chi and gave birth to powerful beings. Some primogenitor's spirit chi was thin and not suitable for cultivators to cultivate. The primogenitor's realm gave birth to weak beings. Some primogenitor's realms were even dead without any life. In the primogenitor's realm, foreign beings had slaughtered their way out and attacked the primogenitor's realm. At this time, in the depths of the primogenitor's realm, countless spatial cracks appeared. Countless foreign beings rushed out and gathered nearby. They were creatures with wings on their backs like locusts. They wore thick black armor and had 6 arms. There were 2 long feelers on their heads, and their legs were thick and powerful. Each of these creatures gave off a powerful and ruthless aura. The saints who were passing by were shocked when they witnessed this scene. It's the locust race. We're done for. Some of the older sages turned pale with fright when they saw those living beings, and they retreated in a hurry. These foreign beings are the locust race. The world was shocked when the news spread. At this time, Jiu Fei was in seclusion in the Li clan's ancestral land. The Li clan was extremely displeased, but there was nothing they could do. The second ancestor of the Li clan, in particular, was even more enraged. God knew how many antique magic treasures he had smashed. Jiu Fei has gone too far. He killed my big brother and third brother, And now he dares to come here and occupy my clan's ancestral land to go into seclusion. If it weren't for the sake of our clan, I would have fought him to the death. The second ancestor of the Lee clan gnashed his teeth as he sat on his throne within the Lee clan ancestral hall. Ancestor, be careful. Inside the ancestral hall, a quasi-supreme level expert of the Lee clan looked towards the depths of the ancestral ground with lingering fear. The fall of Li Changtian and the third progenitor had enraged the entire Li clan. They wanted to take revenge on Ji Yufei, but the second progenitor had stopped them. This is the ancestral hall. So what if that Ji Yufei is a supreme existence in the eternal stratum? Can he hear me? The second primogenitor of the Li clan sneered. Second brother of the Li clan, are you tired of living? At this moment, Ji Yufei's voice resounded in the ancestral hall. What? The second progenitor of the Li clan was so frightened that he almost fell off his throne. All the experts of the Li clan in the hall were also frightened. Didn't you say that he couldn't hear us? The quasi-supreme level expert of the Li clan was so frightened that he almost fell to the ground. Even though he could barely stand, he was still trembling in fear. If you disrespect me again, I will destroy your Li clan. Ji Yufei's voice resounded again, and then he said nothing more. The experts of the Li clan in the hall were angry, but they didn't dare to speak. Even the second progenitor of the Li clan was pale with fear. Boom! In the next moment, the ancestral ground of the Li clan suddenly shook. In the next moment, all the spiritual qi in the world frantically gathered towards the depths of the ancestral ground. The second progenitor of the Li clan sensed the changes in the world, and his expression changed drastically. What is he doing? All the experts of the Li clan in the hall were indescribably shocked. Swoosh! The second progenitor of the Li clan rushed out and arrived high up in the sky. The other experts of the Li clan didn't even dare to walk out of the ancestral hall. Ji Yufei, is he trying to destroy my ancestral ground? The second progenitor of the Li clan was both shocked and furious. Countless spiritual lights that could be seen with the naked eye streaked across the sky and directly shot into the depths of the ancestral ground. The spiritual qi of the Li clan that had gathered for countless years was directly attracted by Ji Yufei. What is Master trying to do? The shooting sun supremacy and the others who were guarding outside were also extremely shocked when they sensed the changes in the world. The ancestral ground of the Li clan was protected by countless supreme Dao level arrays. The spiritual qi of the heaven and earth that had gathered for countless years was not so easily attracted. Ordinary supremacies couldn't attract the spiritual qi of the heaven and earth here at all. However, in Ji Yufei's opinion, the supreme Dao level arrays of the Li clan's ancestral ground were practically non-existent. He could wipe them all away with a single thought. Is Master using the spiritual qi here to break through to the next realm? The Thunder Dao Supremacy said thoughtfully. Master is already the strongest existence in the ancestral realm. Does he still need to raise his cultivation? The Black Wind Supremacy and the others were all inexplicably shocked. In their opinion, Ji Yufei's cultivation was already enough to make her invincible in the ancestral realm. Could she still raise her cultivation? At that moment, a powerful supreme Dao level aura erupted from the depths of the Li clan's ancestral ground. The spiritual qi of the heaven and earth in the entire world started to boil. The speed at which it gathered in Ji Yufei's direction instantly increased by several times. The second progenitor of the Li clan could no longer sit still. On the mountain ridges of the ancestral ground, streams of spiritual qi in the form of huge dragons rushed out continuously. The dragon-shaped spiritual qi of the heaven and earth was attracted by a powerful force. 9 dragon shadows of spiritual qi gathered towards Ji Yufei. Immediately after, the entire Li clan's ancestral ground glowed. Countless array patterns emerged from the void, from the mountains, from the ground, from every rock and every grain of sand in the ancestral ground. The countless array patterns wove together to form a super formation that wanted to suppress the spiritual qi of the heaven and earth. However, very quickly, even the super formation of the Li clan's ancestral ground became unstable. As endless spiritual qi flowed out, the entire super formation gradually collapsed. No, seeing this, the second progenitor's heart bled. He knew very well what would happen after the Ancestral Ground's protective formation collapsed. As expected, as the Ancestral Ground's protective formation collapsed, the spiritual qi of the Ancestral Ground surged towards Jiyu Fei like a heavenly river bursting through a dam. The countless immortal herbs in the Li clan's Ancestral Ground withered and lost their vitality. The immortal mountains that had originally been surrounded by spiritual qi all turned to dust and dissipated into the void. The second progenitor waved his sleeves and imprisoned all the disciples of the Li clan in the Ancestral Ground. He put them into his internal world. Even the experts hiding in the ancestral hall of the Li clan were scared out of their wits when they saw this. Was Jiyu Fei trying to destroy the Ancestral Ground? Once the Ancestral Ground was destroyed, the foundation that the Li clan had accumulated over countless years would be completely lost. This was the Li clan's foundation. Was Jiyu Fei trying to break the Li clan's foundation? In the face of Jiyu Fei's plundering methods, the Li clan's Ancestral Ground immediately suffered a disaster. Spiritual mountains exploded and pavilions turned to dust. What was originally a top-notch treasure ground, the immortal Saint Territory, had turned into a barren land where not even a blade of grass grew. At this time, in the center of this barren land, a mass of dragon qi spread out in all directions. Countless huge dragon shadows circled around it. It was extremely shocking. Jiyu Fei waved his hand and the earth split open. A mountain-like ancestral dragon qi rushed out from the depths of the earth. It was the Earth Ancestor's vein. The second progenitor almost fainted from anger when he saw this. He originally thought that Jiyu Fei wouldn't be so ruthless, but now it seemed that Jiyu Fei really didn't leave any leeway for the Li clan. The Li clan's Ancestral Ground was destroyed. As long as the Earth Ancestor's vein was still there was a chance that it could be restored. However, once the Earth Ancestor's vein was taken away, the Ancestral Ground could no longer be restored. One should know that the Ancestral Ground's foundation was the Earth Ancestor's vein. Once it lost its nourishment, the Li clan's Ancestral Ground would become inferior to an ordinary spiritual land. Jiyu Fei used a great technique and refined the Earth Ancestor's vein. He then sent the refined Earth Ancestor's qi into a figure opposite him. In the next moment, the figure was enveloped by endless dragon qi and turned into an ancestral dragon. As I thought, the Supreme of 9 Dragons is coming back. The Supreme of Thunder stared at the ancestral dragon before Jiyu Fei with great envy. They had already rushed into the sky and witnessed everything clearly. Back then, Jiyu Fei had just attained the Tao. He killed the Wood Ancestor, destroyed the Wood Clan, and defeated the 9 Supremes, shocking the ancestral realm's eastern region. He was extremely powerful. The leader of the 9 Supremes back then was the Supreme of Thunder. The Supreme of Thunder had once led the 8 Supremes to besiege Jiyu Fei. However, Jiyu Fei defeated the 9 Supremes alone. Jiyu Fei destroyed the 9 Supremes' physical bodies and captured their primordial spirits, sealing them in the cauldron of mountains and rivers. The Supreme of Thunder was released by Jiyu Fei in advance and helped rebuild his physical body, allowing him to return to his peak. The primordial spirits of the remaining 8 Supremes were still imprisoned in the cauldron of mountains and rivers. At that moment, Jiyu Fei was helping the Supreme of 9 Dragons reconstruct the Supreme Ancestral Dragon's body. He was at the final juncture. Jiyu Fei used the power of the Earth Ancestor's vein to help the Supreme of 9 Dragons reconstruct the Ancestral Dragon's body. Not only could the Supreme of 9 Dragons return to his peak, but it might even be able to break through his current cultivation realm. Boom! With a huge tremor, endless dragon qi instantly gathered on the Supreme of 9 Dragons' Ancestral Dragon's body. In the next moment, the Ancestral Dragon grew 8 heads. As a result, the Ancestral Dragon became 9 Ancestral Dragons. Supreme of 9 Dragons, so it's a 9-headed dragon, the Shooting Sun Supreme said in surprise. The Shooting Sun Supreme said in surprise. This was the first time he had seen the true form of the 9 Dragons Supreme. The 9-headed Ancestral Dragon was like a huge black mountain range in the sky. Endless dragon might spread out, causing all living beings within a radius of billions of miles to be extremely terrified. Roar. Chapter 3966. On this day, a deafening dragon roar came from the Li clan's ancestral ground. The sound traveled for billions of miles. Countless living beings were terrified to the extreme, and they all knelt in the direction of the sound. A shocking phenomenon appeared in the sky above the Li clan's ancestral ground. Auspicious signs descended from the sky, and the divine sound of the grand Tao lingered. 9 giant dragons soared into the sky and circled for 3 days and 3 nights. Such a phenomenon alarmed many supreme exalts in the southern region of the primogenitor realm. They all released their divine senses to investigate. Supreme 9 dragons? How is that possible? Didn't he die in battle back then? Someone recognized the majestic draconic aura from the Li clan's ancestral ground. All exalts' Daos were different, and their grand Dao aura was also different. Supreme 9 Dragons' extreme Dao aura was absolutely unique. Supreme 9 Dragons? The supreme exalts who were alarmed by the phenomenon were indescribably shocked. Back then, the 9 exalts joined forces to fight Ji Yu Fei. That shook the entire southern region. Ji Yu Fei's name shook the southern region after that battle, and he became one of the strongest exalts in the southern region. But now, Supreme 9 Dragons appeared again. There was definitely a secret unknown to outsiders. Perhaps the 9 exalts hadn't been killed by Ji Yu Fei back then. Previously, there was a Thunder exalt, and now, Supreme 9 Dragons appeared. Some people vaguely felt that something was amiss. Boom. At this time, the Li clan's ancestral ground suddenly erupted with an even stronger fluctuation of extreme Dao power. Supreme 9 Dragons, who had fused with the power of the Earth Ancestor vein, had actually broken through to the mid-level extreme Dao. Old Dragon's luck isn't bad. The Thunder Dao supremacy was a little envious when he saw this. If he could refine an ancestral Earth vein, his cultivation might be able to break through to the extreme mastery realm. After a cultivator's cultivation broke through to the extreme Dao, it was extremely difficult to advance another level. This was also why there were many supreme exalts in the primogenitor realm, but most of them were at the initial stage of the extreme Dao. Of course, although the battle between Ji Yu Fei and the Celestial Patriarch and the other 2 supreme exalts had alarmed all the exalts in the primogenitor realm, no one knew whether all the exalts had come to watch. However, no one knew if the extreme Dao Supremes of the primogenitor realm had come to watch the battle. However, it was certain that a portion of the Supremes had yet to show themselves. Thank you, Master. At this time, the 9 Dragons Supreme being turned into a purple-haired middle-aged man and knelt at Ji Yu Fei's feet. Get up. Help me properly. I will not mistreat my own people. After saying that, Ji Yu Fei waved his hand. Supreme 9 Dragon immediately felt a powerful force lifting him up. Even with his extreme grade intermediate stage cultivation, it was difficult for him to resist this force. This, the 9 Dragons Supreme being, was indescribably shocked. Its master was unfathomable, already in existence that was not something it could imagine. Yes, Master. Supreme 9 Dragons hurriedly bowed and said, his tone extremely respectful. At this time, the second ancestor of the Li family was no longer just bleeding in his heart. This was the ancestral land of the Li family, but it had been destroyed. In the entire Li family, only the ancestral hall was left, and it had escaped by luck. The entire Li family was furious, but did not dare to say anything. It should be known that Ji Yu Fei was a peerless savage who could easily destroy the entire Li family. If they made him unhappy, he could destroy the Li family with a single thought. For the sake of the Li family's continued existence, the entire Li family could only endure it. Alright, let's move to the next place. Ji Yu Fei gathered the Shooting Sun Supreme Being and the others. The next moment, the Star Beast directly revealed its original form and carried Ji Yu Fei and the others out of the Li family's ancestral land. This malefic is finally gone. Everyone in the Li clan felt the urge to cry. Even the second ancestor of the Li family heaved a sigh of relief. The Supreme's divine wills also retreated. When the news that Ji Yu Fei had destroyed the Li family's ancestral land spread out, the entire world was shocked. Everyone could not believe it. However, what was strange was that Ji Yu Fei did not destroy the Li family. He only destroyed the ancestral land of the Li family. Ji Yu Fei is creating a supreme being. An extreme Dao supreme being said such words. One ancestral land and one supreme being? If that was really the case, then Jiu Fei's methods were too shocking. The Li family is so unlucky, haha. Not only did Li Changtian die at the hands of Jiu Fei, but even the ancestral land has been destroyed. Everyone in the Li family is actually swallowing their anger. If it were us, we would definitely fight that fellow Jiu Fei to the death. The Li family should be on the decline. They no longer have any guts. An elder said indifferently. This was the entrance to the divine clan's ancestral land. Several divine clan powerhouses guarding the entrance were discussing. However, just as these divine clan powerhouses were gloating about the Li family's misfortune, a huge creature suddenly appeared in the distant sky. Moreover, this huge creature was heading towards the divine clan's ancestral land. Rumble, a savage beast that was countless times stronger than a mountain, moved quickly in the air. Wherever it passed, the air trembled, and the entire world seemed as if it was about to collapse from the pressure of this savage beast. What is that? A terrifying pressure spread out. The few Tian clan powerhouses guarding the entrance to the divine clan's ancestral land were all shocked to the extreme. They stared dumbfoundedly at the approaching savage beast. The savage beast's body was dotted with stars, as if there was a starry sky faintly discernible. Star Beast, it's the Star Beast, Jiu Fei is here. The old man's expression suddenly changed as he shouted. What? When the other Tian clan powerhouses heard this, they immediately jumped up in shock. Someone immediately took out a horn and blew it. The low and deep sound of the horn rang out, spreading far and wide, instantly spreading throughout the entire divine clan's ancestral land. Enemy attack. When the countless Tian clan experts in the divine clan's ancestral land heard the sound of the horn, they were all stunned. How many years had it been since they last heard the sound of the horn? The last time the horn sounded, it was when someone from the Li clan had reached the Extreme Way secret realm and came to challenge the Tian clan's old patriarch. Jiu Fei. He actually dares. At this time, a huge shadow appeared in the sky above the divine clan's ancestral land. The Tian clan experts at the entrance of the ancestral land were all stunned as they stared at the gigantic beast in the sky. Compared to this gigantic beast, the few Tian clan experts on the ground were even smaller than sesame seeds. In the eyes of the gigantic beast, they were existences akin to ants. Blood, your Tian clan is very courageous, right? At this moment, a lazy voice came down from the sky. The Tian clan rankers below were even more scared silly. Jiu Fei actually heard what they said. At this time, Jiu Fei stood on the shoulder of the gigantic beast. Behind him stood the Shooting Sun Sovereign, the Thunder Dao Sovereign, the Nine Dragons Sovereign and the other 7 great sovereigns. However, even if the auras of the 7 great sovereigns were added together, they would not be able to compare to the strand of aura that erupted from the gigantic beast. Chapter 3967. The ancestral realm was the most treasured land in the southern region. It was the ancestral land of the Sky Clan. The Sky Clan was the largest clan in the southern region. It was also the strongest clan in the southern region. Although the Sky Clan had been in seclusion for countless years, their foundation was still incomparably deep. Even if the Li clan and the Chu clan combined their foundation, they could not compare to the Sky Clan. Even if the Sky Clan was in seclusion, they were the true rulers of the southern region. If they wanted to, they could take back control of the entire southern region. The Li clan and the Chu clan were just a joke. However, it was different now. Jiu Fei's appearance had completely changed the power structure of the entire southern region. Jiu Fei had single-handedly defeated the Tian clan leader, Li Changtian, and Old Monster Chu. He had killed 3 supreme existences who had surpassed the extreme Dao. At that moment, he was already an invincible existence in the southern region. The Sky Clan experts who were mocking the Li clan for being cowardly were so scared that they almost peed their pants. It was already rare for them to survive under the pressure of the Star Beast. Of course, the Star Beast did not want to start a massacre. At this moment, the entire ancestral land of the Sky Clan was in an uproar. All the Sky Clan experts were alarmed. Even those who were in seclusion had to come out. 1, 2, 3. I didn't expect the Sky Clan to have so many Supremes hidden. Outside the ancestral land of the Sky Clan, Ji Fei stood on the shoulder of the star beast with his hands behind his back. He smiled faintly as he watched the auras of the extreme Daos rising from the ancestral land of the Sky Clan. A total of 12 Supremes. In addition to the clan leader of the Sky Clan that you killed and Supreme Tian Qian, the Sky Clan actually has 14 Supremes. This is indeed the number one force in the southern region. The Shooting Sun Supreme looked at Ji Fei and said, "So what if the Sky Clan has more Supremes? Master doesn't even need to do anything. We can also get rid of these guys." The Black Wind Supreme said disdainfully. At this time, the other Supremes didn't dare to look down on the Black Wind Supreme. This guy was an expert at pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. Who would have thought that this usually cowardly guy would actually dare to challenge old eccentric Chu? Ji Fei didn't say anything. So what if the Tian clan had 12 supreme beings? If I want the number one ancestral land of the southern domain, who can stop me? Ji Fei, what do you want? A loud shout came from the ancestral land of the Heaven clan. The person who spoke was very direct. My master doesn't want to do anything. He just wants to ask your celestial race to move. The Black Wind Sovereign said coldly. What did you say? The moment Black Wind Sovereign said that, the experts in the ancestral land of the Sky Clan immediately cursed. You've gone too far. You want to take my ancestral land? Unless you step over our dead bodies. We would rather die than submit. An angry roar came from the ancestral land of the Sky Clan. Is this what you want? Ji Fei said lightly. Dao friend Ji, my old ancestor has already died in your hands. Do you want to kill us all? A figure appeared in the sky above the ancestral land of the Sky Clan. A powerful extreme Dao force erupted from this figure, shocking the heavens. Give up the place, or die. Ji Fei said indifferently. You, the supreme being of the Sky Clan, was shocked and angry when he heard this. However, he was well aware of how powerful and terrifying Ji Fei was. This guy was decisive in killing. Since his debut, it was unknown how many Supremes had died in his hands. In the southern domain, and even in the entire ancestral realm, Ji Fei was recognized as the supreme killer. Hurry up and decide. My master's patience is limited. The Black Wind Sovereign jumped out and said. At this time, in the ancestral land of the Sky Clan, the 12 supreme beings were arguing endlessly. To fight or to live in grievance. Some of the supreme beings would rather die in battle than live in vain. However, there were also some supreme beings who were unwilling to sacrifice themselves in vain. As long as they lived, there would be endless possibilities. If they died, there would be nothing left. Even the old ancestor is not a match for that Ji Fei. Do you think you are stronger than the old ancestor? A supreme being of the Sky Clan said such words. As soon as this was said, the other supreme beings immediately fell silent. We still have a trump card. A supreme being of the Sky Clan said carefully. So what? The other party is Ji Fei. The leading supreme being said helplessly. Ji Fei was no longer an ordinary extreme Dao supreme being. Who else in the southern domain could be a match for Ji Fei? This was simply impossible. Even if Ji Fei is a supreme being who has surpassed the extreme Dao, can he contend against our ancestral land? A supreme being of the Sky Clan said. The ancestral land of the Sky Clan was known as the number one treasure land in the southern domain. The amount of heaven and earth essence gathered in such a place was extremely large. It was not something that the ancestral land of the Li clan could compare to. Brother Ji, please give us some time. We will leave immediately. The supreme beings of the Sky Clan finally chose to retreat. In their opinion, there was nothing more important than preserving the Sky Clan. At least they are tactful. The Black Wind Supreme being scolded. At this time, in the ancestral land of the Sky Clan, countless experts of the Sky Clan began to move. They moved everything that could be moved away from the ancestral land. They could not let Ji Fei take advantage of them. The 12 supreme beings acted at the same time and kept all the disciples of the Sky Clan in their inner worlds. Swoosh! A beam of divine light suddenly shot up into the sky and disappeared into the void. Then, a second beam, a third beam, A total of 12 beams of divine light rushed out from the ancestral land of the Sky Clan. As the 12 supreme beings left at the same time, the entire ancestral land of the Sky Clan was empty. Not a single person could be seen. The supreme being of the Sky Clan is really something, the Shooting Sun Supreme being said faintly. He saw this scene and knew that the 12 supreme beings of the Sky Clan were not weak. Once they joined forces, they could definitely kill an extreme path Mystic Realm sect master. Haha, it doesn't matter if he is something or not. He has to kneel at the feet of the master. The Black Wind Supreme being said with a laugh. At this time, there was no one left at the entrance of the ancestral land of the Sky Clan. The few brave experts of the Sky Clan had already escaped without a trace. Jiyu Fei directly rushed out from the shoulder of the Star Beast and directly rushed into the ancestral land of the Sky Clan. The moment he entered, a thick wave of spiritual chi immediately hit him in the face. The Star Beast immediately shrunk and turned into a middle-aged man. He also rushed into the ancestral land of the Sky Clan. What a thick spiritual chi of heaven and earth. Jiyu Fei sensed that the spiritual chi in the ancestral land of the Sky Clan was several times thicker than the ancestral land of the Li Clan. This was incredible. Cultivating in such an environment, as long as one's aptitude was not that bad, one would be able to cultivate and become an expert. We will temporarily stay here. Chapter 3968. Jiyu Fei pressured the heaven race. Even the strongest cultivation force in the southern region of the primogenitor realm backed down and gave up the heaven race's ancestral land. This was unprecedented in the history of the heaven race. The entire heaven race was suppressed by one person. The entire southern region was shaken by this news. The entire primogenitor realm's cultivation world was shaken. The heaven race is the most ancient race in the southern region of the primogenitor realm, or even the entire primogenitor realm. The power of a single race is peerless, and their foundation is even more terrifying. How could they be suppressed by one person? Countless cultivators didn't believe this. However, the supreme existences were all silent. None of them dared to say anything. What a joke. At this time, who dared to provoke Jiyu Fei? Did they have a death wish? Jiyu Fei swept through the southern region of the primogenitor realm, forcing countless supremes to lower their heads. Moreover, with his own power, he forced the heaven race to leave the ancestral land that they had managed for countless years. Even the supreme existences of the other 4 regions were moved by such power. Region Lord. The southern region of the primogenitor realm finally has an invincible region lord. An ancient paragon who had lived for countless years and lived through several epochs said something like that. Region Lord, countless people were envious and jealous. This was the supreme title of a region. It was an invincible supreme that controlled the life and death of billions of beings. Since ancient times, the southern region of the primogenitor realm had only produced supremes. There had never been a region lord. At the very least, there hadn't been an invincible region lord in the last 3 epochs. An epoch in the primogenitor realm was calculated in tens of millions of years. When one epoch died, another epoch would rise. It was like reincarnation. The only thing that didn't change was the primogenitor realm. No one knew how many epochs the primogenitor realm had experienced, but this number was absolutely terrifying. One had to know that the primogenitor realm was the origin of the myriad worlds. Only with the primogenitor realm did the myriad worlds come into existence. Supremes were known to be invincible. However, after countless epochs, there were very few supremes that could live to this day. The most ancient supremes had long disappeared in the merciless passage of time. In the primogenitor realm, supremes that could live for 3 epochs were as rare as phoenix feathers and Chilean horns. Those who had offended Jiyu Fei in the past were now terrified. They were afraid that Jiyu Fei would kill them. With Jiyu Fei's current cultivation, even the Tian clan was forced to give up their ancestral land, let alone the other forces. There was no one in the southern region of the primogenitor realm who could go against Jiyu Fei. Jiyu Fei's eyes were no longer limited to the eastern region. He had also established some forces in the east. Jiyu Fei didn't care about the chaos outside. He led his subordinates into the ancestral land of the Sky Clan and immediately went into seclusion. After devouring 3 existences that transcended the extreme Tao, he needed to go into seclusion and digest what he had gained, hoping to truly step into the eternal realm. His invincible cultivation base could disappear at any time without any warning. To him, this was not a small problem. When Ji Yufei was fighting against the Tian clan's old lord, Li Changtian, and old monster Chu, if his cultivation suddenly disappeared, the consequences would be unimaginable. Even with his unparalleled eternal body, it would still be difficult to defeat those 3 fellows. Even if he lost his cultivation, he would not be afraid of the Tian clan's old clan master and the others. However, his subordinates would suffer a calamity. Fortunately, before Ji Yufei's cultivation disappeared, he had devoured the Tian clan's old clan master and the others. Others thought that Ji Yufei was invincible and had defeated 3 supreme experts. Only he himself knew that he had won this battle by luck. The ancestral land of the Sky Clan was the #1 treasure land in the southern region. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth gathered there was like a boundless ocean. Only such an ancestral land could satisfy the cultivation needs of a supreme being. Ji Yufei sat cross-legged on the dragon vein in the middle of the ancestral land of the Sky Clan. This was where the dragon head of the earth ancestral vein was. The entire mountain was like the ancestral dragon raising its head, as if it was about to soar into the sky. This had always been the old clan master's seclusion ground. It was very simple, and the huge cave was exactly where the dragon eye was. There was nothing inside, only a praying mat woven from divine grass. It wasn't hard to imagine that the Tian clan's old clan master would sit cross-legged on the praying mat for 1,000 years, or even 10,000 years. When Ji Yufei entered and saw this scene, he couldn't help but sigh. This was the portrayal of cultivators of my generation. Lonely, bored to the point of panic. Only those with a firm Tao heart and those who could endure loneliness could become cultivators and then become experts. The place where the dragon head of the ancestral vein was located was a forbidden area in the Tian clan. But now, Ji Yufei and the others could enter and leave as they pleased. Of course, the prerequisite was that Ji Yufei broke the formation protecting this place. Taking advantage of the fact that his cultivation had not disappeared, Ji Yufei walked around the Tian clan's ancestral land and broke the formation protecting the important places. With his invincible cultivation in the eternal realm, any extreme Tao-level Grand Array could be directly broken by him. Ji Yufei sat cross-legged on the dragon eye of the dragon head of the ancestral vein. He gradually operated the mysterious art and continued to refine the 3 supreme powers in his body. Soon, he entered into a state of cultivation. "Master, have you started?" Outside Mount Dragonhead, the sun shooting supremacy and the others suddenly looked in the direction of the dragon eye. At that moment, a faintly discernible aura that made their souls tremble spread out from Mount Dragonhead. Surpassing the extreme Tao is indeed invincible. 9 Dragons Supreme, who had just reconstructed his body and returned to his peak, exclaimed. His cultivation base had even increased by a level. A legendary eternal paragon? Is that something we can even imagine? Thunder Supreme looked at Dragonhead Mountain with a solemn expression. He was afraid that he would never be able to reach such a realm in his life. Rumble, at this moment, a violent tremor came from outside the Tian clan's ancestral land. A violent destructive aura actually penetrated the protective formation of the Tian clan's ancestral land and entered the ancestral land. This is, Shooting Sun Supreme and the others were furious. Someone was actually attacking the Tian clan's ancestral land? They were simply tired of living and had a death wish. Let's go take a look. Shooting Sun Supreme and the others hurriedly turned into divine rainbows and soared into the sky. In an instant, they arrived above the entrance of the Tian clan's ancestral land. When they saw the scene in front of them, they were inexplicably shocked. They saw an unknown creature flying over from the sky, covering the entire sky. The world seemed to have turned into night in an instant. Locust Tribe, it's the Locust Tribe. Sovereign Lightning Dao suddenly cried out in alarm. What? Could it be the legendary Locust Tribe that once destroyed an era in the ancestral realm? Chapter 3969. The Locust tribe was one of the strongest tribes in the foreign land. Wherever the Locust tribe passed, not even a blade of grass grew. Any living thing, even flowers and trees, would be devoured by this tribe. During one of the eras in the ancestral realm, the Locust tribe rushed out from the depths of space and flooded the ancestral realm. This was an unimaginable disaster. The Locust tribe destroyed an entire era in the ancestral realm. Later, someone broke through to the extreme path and found the legendary number 1 Tao treasure of the ancestral realm, the Wheel of the Myriad Realms. Only then did the Locust tribe return to the Locust realm. The Acrepoid tribe. To most cultivators, they had no idea what the Acrepoid tribe was. Only extreme supremes were qualified to know of the Locust tribe's existence. At this time, the entire sky ancestral land was surrounded by countless acropoids. These acropoids were plundering the heaven and earth spiritual chi. If it weren't for the sky ancestral land's defensive array, these acropoids would have already rushed into the sky ancestral land and devoured everything inside. As long as the Locust tribe beings had life, they would devour anything with spiritual energy. Wherever these acropoids went, planets with life would turn into dead planets. Lush mountain ranges would become barren. It was also because of this that when the Thunder Path Supremacy called out that the Locust tribe was invading, the Shooting Sun Supremacy and the others could not sit still. The Locust tribe's arrival meant the beginning of destruction. At this time, the Locust tribe beings could be seen in the ancestral realm's southern region, where the spiritual energy was the densest. Wherever the swarm of Locust tribe creatures passed, the big city in the southern region would activate the Great City Defense Formation to keep the Locust tribe creatures at bay. As for the living beings outside the cities, they were instantly devoured by the Locust tribe beings. Not even a bone was left. In an instant, the entire southern region was in a state of panic. Billions of living beings were being devoured by the Locust tribe beings. This time, the Locust tribe beings descended upon the southern region and then entered other regions. Some extreme supremes made a move to repel the Locust tribe's attack. However, when the Locust tribe beings appeared, even the extreme supremes were in danger. The extreme-grade Locust tribe was extremely powerful. Once surrounded by the extreme-grade Locust tribe, even an extreme-grade supremacy would be devoured and die. The ancestral land of a great clan in the southern mountain range was breached by the Locust tribe. In less than half a day, the entire clan was annihilated by the Locust tribe, and their ancestral land was reduced to ruins. In the Chu clan's ancestral grounds, an extreme Tao sovereign wielded an extreme Tao artifact and attacked. A beam of sword light swept through the void, causing the Locust tribe members to fall from the sky. Boom! Somewhere in the mountains of the southern region, a godly fire burst out of the mountains and blocked the locusts who were swooping down from the sky. One by one, the locusts fell from the sky and were burned to a crisp. However, as the acropoids continued to rush out from the depths of space, the entire ancestral realm was shrouded in panic. Countless beings were terrified. The acropoids could tear through the void. They had unimaginably strong bodies and speed. Once they were targeted by the acropoids, they were basically dead meat. What should we do? The Locust tribe, it's the Locust tribe. They once destroyed an era in the ancestral realm. The Wheel of the Heavens and Myriad Realms is in Jiyu Fei's hands. If we want to chase the Locust tribe away, we have to ask Jiyu Fei for help. The supremacies of the ancestral realm could not remain calm. The Wheel of the Heavens and Myriad Realms was the bane of the Locust tribe, but this supreme Tao artifact was now in Jiyu Fei's hands. Jiyu Fei is in seclusion. Soon, news spread that Jiyu Fei was in seclusion at this time. What should they do? How troublesome. Even the supremacies at the supremacy level were having a headache. The Locust tribe was wreaking havoc everywhere. Was this the end of an era? When the extreme Tao acropoids appeared, all the cultivators in the progenitor realm fell into despair, especially the extreme supremes. There were thousands of extreme Tao acropoids. Even a supreme lord would have to turn and run. At this time, outside the Chu clan's ancestral grounds, the Locust tribe covered the sky. It was as if night had fallen. How reckless. Inside the Chu clan's ancestral grounds, on a divine peak, an elder in white took the gourd from his waist, pulled out the stopper, and patted the bottom of the gourd. Buzz! The sky trembled. A heaven-devouring power immediately erupted from the gourd in the elder's hand. In the next moment, the acropoids that were blocked by the guardian formation were all sucked into the gourd. In an instant, countless acropoids were sucked into the gourd. However, at this time, a violent aura suddenly surged from the depths of the starry sky. In the next moment, an incomparably huge acropoid creature rushed out from the depths of the starry sky. Boom! This acropoid was definitely at the extreme path level. The creature pounced on the guardian formation of the Chu clan's ancestral grounds. The entire formation shook violently as if it could collapse at any moment. Countless Chu clan disciples in the Chu clan's ancestral grounds were terrified. The acropoids even dared to devour a supremacy. At this time, the Chu clan leader desperately operated the guardian formation. Even so, the divine light of the great path emitted by the guardian formation was gradually weakening. Too powerful, the extreme path acropoid tore through the void and reached into the ancestral grounds with one claw. It directly grabbed dozens of Chu clan members and threw them into its mouth. Seeing this scene, everyone in the Chu clan's ancestral grounds was dumbfounded. The Chu clan's guardian formation was about to collapse. Damn it! Retreat! Retreat to the ancestral hall! The Chu clan's supremacy roared. As he spoke, he kept sucking his clansmen into his inner world. Finally, with a wave of his sleeve, even the divine city in the sky was taken away by him. At this time, boom! The entire Chu clan's ancestral grounds shook violently. The guardian formation collapsed, and the spirit peaks and divine mountains turned into dust, completely disappearing. The Chu clan's ancestral grounds broke through the void and fled into the chaos, disappearing without a trace. When the news of the Chu clan's ancestral grounds being breached by the acropoids spread, the entire southern region was shaken. The Chu clan's ancestral grounds were quickly reduced to ruins. Even a powerful clan like the Chu clan's ancestral grounds was breached by the acropoids. The other forces' ancestral grounds could not withstand a single blow. At this time, the entire ancestral realm's southern region's attention was focused on the Sky clan's ancestral grounds. The people who had gone to ask for Jiyu Fei's help had already gone 9 times, but they were all blocked. Those who went to ask for Jiyu Fei's help would be swallowed up by the acropoids if they were not careful. Not even their bones would be left. Chapter 3970. The reappearance of the locust race and the calamity of the primogenitor realm shook the world. Overwhelming numbers of locust race beings rushed out from the depths of space towards the primogenitor realm. In an instant, the entire primogenitor realm turned into a living hell. The entire primogenitor realm's 5 great regions became the locust race's hunting grounds. Countless lives were devoured. A group of locust race beings could wipe out all life within 100 million miles. Moreover, the scariest thing was that these locust race beings could become even stronger after devouring enough life essence. These foreign beings could transform into the extreme Tao level of the locust race. Of course, this could only be achieved after devouring an endless amount of life essence. However, even an ordinary locust race being was enough to threaten an immortal emperor. The emperor of the locust race could even tear a sage apart and feast on the flesh and blood of a sage. As for the acropoid tribe's powerhouses who possessed the physique of a supreme master, they could even compete with a supreme being. If thousands of acropoid tribe's powerhouses charged at them, even a supreme being would have to retreat. At this time, the entire primogenitor realm was in a desperate situation. Only the super forces with supremes could temporarily stop the locust race's advance. Those without supremes were in tragedy. Without the protection of supremes, these forces were destroyed by the locust race. It was unknown how many powerful races had been wiped out by the locust race. Boom! Half a day after the locust race invaded the eastern region, a supreme aura that surpassed the extreme Tao level suddenly erupted from a certain mountain in the eastern region. The locust race that was wreaking havoc in the mountain was killed by an invisible force. Countless locust race beings fell from the sky like rain. A supreme expert that surpassed the extreme Tao level was attacking. Countless cultivators in the eastern region were shocked and overjoyed. With a supreme expert of this level attacking, the puny locust race was naturally annihilated. The mysterious supreme expert attacked one after another. The locust race that invaded the eastern region was wiped out like leaves in the autumn wind. However, the supreme expert could only protect the eastern region and not the other regions. Especially the southern region. The other supremes of the southern region were almost all killed by Gu Fei. Without the protection of the extreme Dao supremes, the billions of lives in the southern region were instantly affected. Even the Chu clan had fled for their lives. Soon, the western region, the northern region, and the central region erupted with an aura that surpassed the extreme Dao. Countless locust tribe beings were killed. Apart from the southern region, the other 4 regions all had supreme beings who had surpassed the extreme Dao. These were all unparalleled existences at the level of an area lord, and they were all forced out by the locust tribe. If it wasn't for the fact that they were on the brink of death, no one would have known that such existences were hidden within the ancestral realm. What about Gu Fei? Is he still in seclusion? The southern domain was plunged into misery and suffering. Countless cultivators perished. Some of the living beings of the southern mountain range raised their heads to the skies and howled in anguish. The moment the locust tribe swarmed over, they were devoured cleanly. Not even a bone was left behind. Numerous enormous shields of divine light appeared over the lands of the southern domain. These were extreme Dao level grand spell formations, which transformed into extreme Dao light that spread out to protect the entire region. Boom! Suddenly, one of the shields of divine light exploded. Countless locust tribes swarmed over, pouncing on the living beings within. In the span of a dozen breaths, all the living beings in the area were devoured cleanly. The extreme Dao level existences within the locust tribe were terrifying beyond compare. A divine light shield formed from the power of an extreme Dao grand spell formation could only hold out for half a day against thousands of extreme Dao acropoids before it was broken. Once the extreme Dao grand spell formation was broken, all the living beings within would become food for the locust tribe. Should we inform the master to come out of seclusion? Outside the ancestral grounds of the Sky Clan, the Shooting Sun Supremacy and the others gathered together and discussed cautiously. Countless locust tribe beings were constantly slamming into the light shield formed from the power of the extreme Dao grand spell formation. Sounds of collisions could be heard. If we disturb the master, it's no laughing matter. The Thunder Supremacy said hesitantly. Boom. At this moment, a loud sound rang out. Then, the entire great spell formation that enveloped the ancestral grounds of the Sky Clan shook violently. What's going on? Everyone was shocked. They hurriedly looked in the direction of the sound and saw a locust tribe being several times larger than the average locust tribe being slammed into the extreme Dao grand spell formation. Extreme Dao locust tribe. The 9 Dragons Supremacy stared at the locust tribe outside. His pupils involuntarily contracted. Boom. Another loud sound rang out. Another extreme Dao locust slammed into the light shield of the extreme Dao. Countless array patterns appeared in the void. Every array pattern was emitting the brightest divine light, triggering the most powerful extreme Dao power. However, as more and more extreme Dao locust tribe beings arrived, the Shooting Sun Supremacy and the others were inexplicably shocked. The mighty pressure coming in from the outside made all the living beings in the ancestral grounds of the Sky Clan extremely fearful. Oh no! The Shooting Sun Supremacy and the others had extremely solemn expressions. They were being targeted by the extreme Dao locust tribe. This locust tribe had once destroyed an era of the ancestral realm. More and more extreme Dao locust tribe beings gathered outside. When these violent auras converged, it was earth-shattering. Even the myriad realms' expressions changed. Roar. An extreme Dao supremacy was forced out by the extreme Dao locust tribe beings. He roared in anger and tried to escape. However, the extreme Dao locust tribe beings surged forward and tore this supremacy apart. After devouring the flesh and blood of the extreme Dao locust tribe beings, they became even more ferocious. Bam! Catcher! The divine light shield formed by the power of the extreme Dao Great Array began to crack. It was as if countless cracks had appeared on a transparent porcelain. The extreme Dao Great Array won't last much longer. What do we do? The shooting sun supremacy and the others were truly dumbfounded. It was no wonder that these foreign beings had once destroyed an era of the ancestral realm. This kind of devouring and attacking power was just too powerful. Even the protective array of the Sky Clan's ancestral grounds could only last a little longer than the other great clans' ancestral grounds. "What are you panicking for?" At that moment, Ji Yufei's voice suddenly rang out in their minds. At that moment, a wave of divine consciousness that surpassed the extreme Tao spread from the Dragonhead Mountain in the center of the Sky Clan's ancestral grounds. It instantly enveloped an area of hundreds of millions of miles. When Ji Yufei sensed the countless foreign beings outside, he was pleasantly surprised. "Haha, even the heavens are helping me." Ji Yufei, who was sitting cross-legged on the Dragonhead Mountain, laughed heartily. In the eyes of others, these Locust Tribe beings were extremely terrifying. However, to him, they were all divine medicines that could move. Every single one of the Locust race possessed a powerful amount of essence chi. If he could devour all of these Locust race beings, his cultivation base would be stabilized. Boom! The next moment, a divine light suddenly shot out from the Dragonhead Mountain. A figure shot up into the sky from the divine light, passed through the layers of great arrays, and appeared in the sky of the Sky Clan's ancestral grounds. Seeing Ji Yufei rush out, the shooting sun supremacy and the others were dumbfounded. There were countless Locust Tribe beings outside. Many of them were from the extreme Tao Locust Tribe. The Locust Tribe was strange. Even the powerful extreme Tao Locust Tribe did not have any independent intelligence. It was as if they could only rely on their instincts to devour living beings. The Locust Tribe outside sensed the powerful life force emanating from Ji Yufei's body. Without any regard for their own lives, they all rushed towards Ji Yufei. Faced with the overwhelming number of Locust Tribe beings rushing towards him, Ji Yufei simply stood with his hands behind his back. The corners of his lips curled into a cold smile as he looked at the Locust Tribe indifferently. Bam! The first Locust Tribe member charged forward and slammed into Ji Yufei's body. The next moment, the violent impact and the recoil caused the Locust Tribe member to explode and turn into a mist of blood. The next moment, the sound of collisions rang out. Countless Locust Tribe beings rushed towards Ji Yufei from all directions. The bone-chilling sound of bones breaking rang out. One by one, the Locust Tribe beings exploded. Countless essence chi surged towards Ji Yufei in a frenzy. Soon, Ji Yufei was completely swallowed by the Locust Tribe. The shooting sun supremacy and the others were stunned by the scene in the sky. At that moment, a powerful devouring power appeared in the sky. It was as if it could devour the entire ancestral realm. Ji Yufei was using the supreme mystique of the eternal stratum to devour the Locust Tribe. That is, Ji Yufei's aura finally appeared in the southern region. All the surviving cultivators were shocked. Some of the supremacies were especially fearful. What is this malefic star doing? Supreme divine senses rushed out from all over the southern region. When these supreme divine senses sensed the shocking scene in the sky above the Sky Clan's ancestral land, they were all stunned. This malefic star is actually devouring the Locust Tribe. Some of the older supremacies exclaimed. At that moment, the countless Locust Tribe beings that were flying towards Ji Yufei exploded a few kilometers away from Ji Yufei. The essence chi of the Locust Tribe converged into beams of light that could be seen with the naked eye and shot towards Ji Yufei. The Locust Tribe had ravaged the southern region and devoured countless lives. The essence chi they had plundered was enormous. Some of the Locust Tribe members had even transformed into even more powerful beings. However, at this moment, this group of beings that were famous for their plundering of billions of lives was having their life force and essence chi seized by Ji Yufei. Perhaps this was retribution. As Ji Yufei continued to devour the essence chi of the Locust Tribe, an aura that seemed to be able to crush the heavens appeared between heaven and earth. This aura surpassed the extreme Tao and surpassed everything. It was a true eternal pressure. Under this pressure, even the star beast in the ancestral realm felt its soul tremble. Ji Yufei was like a supreme existence that was about to break out of a cocoon. He was only one step away from becoming a true eternal supremacy. Rumble rumble, Just as Ji Yufei was about to use the endless essence chi of the locust tribe to make that final leap, the void shattered. A giant hand suddenly reached down from the heavens and grabbed Ji Yufei. Boom! In the next moment, the giant hand exploded. Ji Yufei rushed out and stared at the depths of the sky. Chapter 3971. Ji Yufei had planned to go into seclusion on Dragon Head Mountain in the ancestral land of the Sky Clan to refine the origins of the Sky Clan Master and the other two half-step Eternal Realm experts, so that his cultivation could make the leap to the Eternal Realm and become an invincible existence in the 3,000 worlds. However, no one could have imagined that the Acrepoid tribe would suddenly rush out of the depths of the starry sky and attack the 5 regions of the ancestral realm. Only the Extreme Realm Supremes could fight against these terrible creatures, but it was only temporary. Once the Acrepoid tribe arrived, let alone half of the Supremes, even the Supremes would have to kneel. Those half-step Eternal Realm existences who had been living in seclusion for countless years had no choice but to come out. The existence of the half-step Eternal Realm was already an invincible existence in the current ancestral realm. Only existences at this level could really compete with the Acrepoid tribe. However, even the existence of the half-step Eternal Realm could only protect one region. The supreme experts of the half-step Eternal Realm all had some problems. Even the Sky Clan Master, Li Changtian, and Old Monster Chu had many problems with their cultivation, even if they had taken that step. And the problem for Ji Yufei was that his cultivation would suddenly disappear without warning, leaving only the immortal body. When his cultivation base disappeared, Ji Yufei could not even fly in the air. Even though he possessed the supreme eternal undying body, it was still a huge headache for him. Just as Ji Yufei was about to unleash his mystic arts and devour everything in his path, wanting to destroy the Locust tribe, someone suddenly made a move. A gigantic hand descended from the sky and grabbed him. Who dares to stop me from achieving the Tao? Ji Yufei directly shattered the big hand, rushed out, and looked up into the depths of the sky. At this time, the Acrepoid tribe that had not been devoured by Ji Yufei seemed to be summoned. They rushed out of the 5 regions of the ancestral realm and into the starry sky, disappearing into the depths of the starry sky. Kill. The entire void shook violently. Ji Yufei soared into the sky at an extremely fast speed. He was like a meteorite that soared into the sky and struck the depths of the starry sky. At this moment, a cold laugh rang out from the depths of the starry sky. In the next moment, all the stars in the starry sky exploded and turned into monstrous destructive power. Ji Yufei only felt his body shake, and in the next moment, his cultivation actually disappeared. What? No way, don't. Ji Yufei wanted to cry, but no tears came out. He saw the terrifying destructive power surging towards him, and he directly collided with it. Boom! With a loud bang, it was as if the world was about to be destroyed. The destructive force that collided with Ji Yufei exploded, blasting a large hole in the starry sky. All the stars within a radius of 10 million miles were swallowed up by the black hole. Ji Yufei, on the other hand, was sent flying back. The clothes on his upper body instantly turned into ashes, and he fell from the starry sky towards the ground. His speed was getting faster and faster, like a falling meteor. Master, in the sky above the ancestral lands of the Tian clan, the Shooting Sun Supreme and the others who saw this scene were all inexplicably shocked. With Master's cultivation, he could still be forced back. How was this possible? The Shooting Sun Supreme and the others knew that Ji Yufei was a supreme existence in the Eternal Realm. An existence in the Eternal Realm was absolutely invincible. Only an existence in the Eternal Realm could defeat an existence in the Eternal Realm. Could that existence in the depths of the starry sky be an Eternal Realm supremacy? Thinking of this, the Shooting Sun Supreme and the others couldn't help but feel their hearts palpitate. At this moment, a dragon roar was heard, and the 9 Dragons Supreme revealed his true form and soared into the sky. A giant dragon with 9 heads rushed into the starry sky and extended its dragon claw, wanting to catch Ji Yufei. However, the moment the dragon claw touched Ji Yufei, the dragon claw that was even larger than a mountain was directly penetrated by Ji Yufei, and purple-gold dragon blood splattered. Roar! The 9-headed ancestral dragon roared at the sky, and a terrifying sound wave spread out. One by one, the stars exploded, and it was as if there were dazzling fireworks blooming in the starry sky. Seeing this scene, the shooting Sun Supreme and the others were stunned. The Nine Dragons Supreme was an ancestral dragon at the intermediate stage of the extreme path. The physique of the dragon clan was the strongest. The supreme body of the Nine Dragons Supreme was much stronger than that of an ordinary Supreme. Even his physical body was penetrated by Gu Fei. The impact of Gu Fei's collision was absolutely shocking. In this way, no one dared to rush up to catch Gu Fei again. Rise! The Black Wind Supreme stood out and formed a seal with both his hands. The power of Yin gathered from all directions like a black fog, forming a giant hand in the void that grabbed Gu Fei. This was the divine ability that the Black Wind Supreme displayed with all his strength. The giant hand seemed to be able to hold up the entire world. Boom! Gu Fei collided directly with the giant hand of Yin. In the next moment, the giant hand collapsed, and countless Tao patterns dissipated in the void. The shooting Sun Supreme, the Thunder Path Supreme, and the others attacked one after another. However, no matter how much they performed their divine abilities, it was useless. None of them could catch Gu Fei. They couldn't even slow down the speed of Gu Fei's descent. Gu Fei smashed into the mountains thousands of miles away from the ancestral grounds of the Heavenly Clan. In the next moment, with Gu Fei's landing point as the center, the entire ground rapidly collapsed and sank. The mountains turned into dust, and the dust soared into the sky. It was as horrifying as the end of the world. Rumble, the ground shook. The shooting Sun Supreme and the others looked down from the sky and saw a destructive storm spreading out in all directions. Everywhere it passed, everything was destroyed. The area within a radius of 10,000 miles became purgatory, and none of the living creatures were able to escape. The ancestral grounds of the Heavenly Clan were protected by a great array, so they weren't affected. Why aren't any of you coming down to bring me out? At this moment, an angry roar came from the ground. This wasn't a divine ability, but a voice. Gu Fei's voice was transmitted directly into the ears of the shooting Sun Supreme and the others. Yes, Master. The shooting Sun Supreme and the others hurriedly rushed towards the place where Gu Fei had landed. However, the speed of a wild beast was several streets ahead of them. It directly rushed over. In the next moment, a giant beast broke through the ground and rushed out while dragging a person. This wild beast was an adult star beast that could stand shoulder to shoulder with a supremacy. The power of an adult star beast was undeniable. This fellow could directly devour the stars of an entire galaxy in one go. Who would dare to suck up to him? The shooting Sun Supreme and the others were originally very displeased. However, when they saw that it was a star beast that had made a move, they immediately lost their temper. At this moment, Gu Fei found a set of black clothes from somewhere and put them on. He had lost all his cultivation, and he couldn't even open up his inner world. Chapter 3972. Gu Fei's cultivation was still fluctuating, which put him at a disadvantage. The existence in the depths of the starry sky had definitely taken that step. It was a half-step eternal existence. Moreover, this fellow was different from old Monster Chu and the others. Although Gu Fei had only exchanged one move with this fellow across the endless starry sky, he already knew this fellow's cultivation realm. This fellow was the same as him, his cultivation had reached a bottleneck. One more step and he would become a true eternal paragon. Moreover, Gu Fei also seemed to know a great secret. Behind the Locust tribe, there was a hidden hand controlling everything. It was likely that the Locust tribe devoured the essence energy of all living beings for this hidden hand. Wanting to become a true eternal paragon was definitely not an easy task. Some people might have plotted for several eras. In order to become an eternal paragon, from ancient times until now, countless experts had fumbled about. Some people, in order to achieve eternity, embarked on a different path. However, there were also people with great perseverance and wisdom who waited for endless years, all for the sake of eternity. Gu Fei didn't care who that person was. Since they dared to obstruct his path, then they were his enemies. He directly returned to the ancestral land of the Sky Race and entered Dragonhead Mountain again. This time, his harvest was not small. He devoured countless Locust tribe members, which was so powerful that even he was moved. However, at the last moment, the fellow in the depths of the starry sky acted and rescued the remaining Locust tribe members. The number of Locust tribe members was also incomparably large. There were hundreds of extreme Dao realm Locust tribe members. Seeing the fat meat he had eaten being snatched from his mouth, Ji Yufei was enraged. However, he didn't know that in the Locust tribe's lair, in the Locust world, there was a person who was so angry that he almost vomited blood. This time, the losses were really heavy. We lost almost half of the Locust tribe. Who is that person? When did such a character appear in the southern domain of the ancestral realm? The person sat cross-legged in the sky above the Locust world, frowning as he muttered to himself. In the entire Locust world, the figures of the Locust tribe could be seen everywhere. That person directly closed the passage between the Locust realm and the Primogenitor realm. This time, they had suffered heavy losses. He was also afraid that Ji Yufei would attack the Locust realm. At that time, if the two half-step eternal existences fought, the Locust realm that he had managed for countless years would no longer exist. At this time, Ji Yufei went into seclusion. As for the southern region of the Primogenitor realm, after this calamity, the cultivation world suffered a great loss. Who knew how many powerful races were destroyed by the Locust race? The power structure of the entire southern region of the ancestral realm was reshuffled. Some powerful forces that had existed for countless years died, while some second-rate forces rose. The old Tian clan, Li clan, and Chu clan had completely declined. These three great clans had all lost their ancestral lands, which meant that they had lost their roots. It would not be easy for them to find another precious land to take root in. Most importantly, the strongest warriors of the Tian clan, Li clan, and Chu clan had already fallen. Without the strongest warriors, who would be afraid of the three great clans? In the world of cultivation, the strong preyed on the weak. Only the strong could intimidate others. Although the Locust race retreated, the southern region, and even the entire Primogenitor realm, fell into chaos. Battles broke out everywhere. The true chaos of the Primogenitor realm had arrived. This was something that no one had expected. The five great regions all had supreme existences half a step into the eternal realm. However, after the retreat of the Locust race, these existences once again went into seclusion, ignoring the affairs of the world. Heroes were born in troubled times. Many peerless figures emerged in the Primogenitor realm. Boom! In the eastern region, where the ancestral vein of the earth was located, an extreme divine light suddenly rushed out. The extreme divine might spread for billions of miles. A quasi-supreme existence had broken through to the extreme realm. In the depths of the sky, a terrible heavenly tribulation descended. It was a phoenix. It soared into the sky and directly rushed into the heavenly tribulation. Divine fire burned half the sky, and it was as terrifying as the end of the world. That divine phoenix narrowly escaped death, passed the heavenly tribulation, and became a true phoenix sovereign. Soon, news spread that the youngest daughter of the Phoenix clan patriarch, Princess Fengqi, had successfully passed the heavenly tribulation and became the third phoenix sovereign of the Phoenix clan. And an old ancestor of the eastern region's Yi clan, who had disappeared for countless years, suddenly returned to oversee the Yi clan. The laws of heaven and earth in the Primogenitor realm seemed to have undergone an unknown change. After Princess Fengqi's heavenly tribulation, the Primogenitor realm should not have been able to withstand the heavenly tribulation of a second quasi-supreme. However, it was hard to imagine that in just a few months, the Primogenitor realm's heaven and earth became suitable for quasi-supreme to undergo the heavenly tribulation again. It seemed that some kind of power had affected the heavenly Tao, allowing the chaotic heavenly Tao of the Primogenitor realm to quickly recover. This was a good thing for the quasi-supreme. As a result, a second, a third, a fourth. There were constantly quasi-supreme undergoing the heavenly tribulation. Some quasi-supreme died under the heavenly tribulation, but only a few succeeded. Some of the old-timers could see that something was wrong. Such a dense number of heavenly tribulations was truly shocking. This kind of thing seems to have happened in the last era. An extreme supreme who had lived for several eras suddenly recalled something, and his expressions suddenly became somewhat unsightly. Whether it was a chaotic era or a prosperous era, the heavenly Tao of the primogenitor realm would become very active. It would quickly recover and become suitable for quasi-supreme to undergo the sovereign heavenly tribulation again. However, all of this had nothing to do with Jiu Fei, so he let it go. The southern region of the primogenitor realm was also in a state of endless war. However, no matter how chaotic the southern region was, no one dared to have any ideas about the Sky Clan's ancestral land. That was because the current master of the Sky Clan's ancestral land was a taboo existence in the southern region, or even the entire primogenitor realm. Unknowingly, Jiu Fei had been sitting on Dragon Head Mountain in the Sky Clan's ancestral land for 300 years. During these 300 years, many experts had appeared in the outside world. In addition to Feng Qi of the Eastern region's Phoenix clan who had successfully undergone the heavenly tribulation, the Western region's West Pole Temple had also produced an extreme Buddhist supreme. That extreme Buddhist supreme was called One Zen Buddhist Supreme. There were also people in the northern region who had broken through to the sovereign realm, and 3 rising stars in the central region had become supremes. During these 300 years, there were actually 11 quasi-supreme who had successfully undergone the sovereign heavenly tribulation and became near-invincible extreme supremes. During these 300 years, there were countless quasi-supreme who had failed to undergo the sovereign heavenly tribulation and had died. During these 300 years, there were even supreme existences at the supremacy level who had attempted to break through to the eternal realm. However, they ended up in a miserable state and died. Not only were there countless experts in the primogenitor realm who had undergone the heavenly tribulation, but there were also countless experts in the endless starry sky who had undergone the heavenly tribulation. The chaotic situation of the 300 years still existed. Countless forces in the primogenitor realm had fought against each other, and trillions of lives had perished. However, no one had been able to sweep through the primogenitor realm, suppress the heavens, and become a realm lord. No one knew when Jiu Fei would come out of seclusion. Chapter 3973. Heroes were born in troubled times. This saying was true. During the 300 years that Jiu Fei was in seclusion, many powerhouses emerged in the ancestral realm. The monster race had supreme powerhouses rise. They were called the Monster Lords of 10 Directions. They controlled countless monsters and became a superpower that could compete with the West Pole Temple. The western region of the ancestral realm was the world of the West Pole Temple and the Western monster race. The eastern region was different from the western region. Compared to the western region, the eastern region was much more lively. The eastern region's 12 kings of supreme were already too many to count. After ancestor Qi of the Qi clan was killed by Jiu Fei, the eastern region's 12 kings of supreme became 11. However, with the rise of Yi clan's Yi Beichen, he passed the sovereign heavenly tribulation and became a sovereign. The eastern region's 12 kings of supreme were complete. A king of supreme was at least a great success of the extreme path. However, the ancestor of the Yi clan directly raised Yi Beichen's cultivation to great success of the extreme path. Thus, the eastern region's 12 kings of supreme were complete. The eastern region also had the Black Tiger clan. It was a strong clan. Although there weren't many clansmen, each of them was a powerhouse. Any one of them could intimidate a region. The ancestral realm's 5 great regions were turbulent. But in the southern region, where the ancestral grounds of the sky race were located, everything was peaceful. Here, humans could live peacefully and not be disturbed by the outside world. Other living beings also didn't need to worry about threats from the outside world. With the ancestral grounds of the sky race as the center, all living beings within a radius of 1 billion miles lived in peace for 300 years. For the beings of the ancestral realm, 300 years wasn't long. The ancestral grounds of the sky race were considered a forbidden area. Fighting and killing were not allowed here. Once, a quasi-supreme powerhouse broke into this forbidden area and started a massacre. However, he was killed by a sovereign who came out of the ancestral grounds of the sky race with a single finger. He died. There was also an invincible extreme path sovereign who, after entering this forbidden area, was suddenly shot by a divine arrow from the sky. He escaped with great difficulty. Thus, who dared to enter this forbidden area? Over time, this forbidden area became known as the Heaven Region's Forbidden Area. If anyone wanted to court death, they could go in. This Heaven Region Forbidden Land was guarded by 7 great supreme beings, as well as an adult star beast, who had nothing better to do and dared to provoke these existences. I wonder how long Master is going to stay in seclusion for. It's too boring to guard here all the time. Outside the Sky Clan's ancestral land, outside Dragonhead Mountain, these words came out. On a mountain peak 100 miles away from Dragonhead Mountain stood several figures. The one who spoke just now was the cynical Black Wind Sovereign. It's rare for me to have peace. Wouldn't it be good to calm down and cultivate for a while? The Shooting Sun Supreme sat down on a huge rock with his legs crossed. The outside world is turbulent. Do you also want to go out and conquer the world? The 9 Dragons Sovereign looked at the Black Wind Sovereign and said indifferently, "Could it be that you don't want to?" The Black Wind Sovereign said, "So what if we want to? As long as Master doesn't come out of seclusion, we can't leave this place." Supremacy 9 Dragons said helplessly. He hadn't returned to his territory in the past 300 years. Every extreme grade supremacy could occupy a mountain, establish a sect, and become the founding ancestor of a great sect or tribe if they wanted to. Stop talking nonsense. In short, wherever Master is, we will be there. The Shooting Sun Supreme looked at everyone and said calmly. At this moment, the astral beast was snoring at the side. This fellow was sleeping soundly at this time. No one could imagine that such a harmless and somewhat adorable fellow was a supreme ferocious beast that could devour the sun, moon, and stars. After the Shooting Sun Supreme said this, no one said anything else. Boom. At this moment, a thunderous sound suddenly came from Dragonhead Mountain in the ancestral land of the Sky Clan. A transparent ripple could be seen spreading from Dragonhead Mountain. Master, the Shooting Sun Supreme and the others hurriedly looked towards Dragonhead Mountain. They saw that the eye of Dragonhead Mountain was a huge cave filled with a huge amount of essence energy. This essence energy could be seen with the naked eye. Gu Fei sat cross-legged on the ground. As he inhaled and exhaled, a huge amount of essence energy surged inside and outside of his body. When he sucked in all the essence energy in the huge cave, a strange sound came from his body. From time to time, dazzling divine light would rush out of Dragonhead Mountain. Gu Fei's eternal indestructible body was transforming. For the past 300 years, he had been thinking about how to refine the origin powers of the Sky Clan Master, Li Changtian, and Old Monster Chu. The origin powers of these 3 guys were not ordinary extreme grade origins. They were half-step eternal grade origins. It could be said that they were eternal grade origin powers. Gu Fei wanted to suppress the 3 half-step eternal grade origins by himself. For a moment, it was as if there were 4 supreme existences fighting within Gu Fei's body. If it wasn't for the fact that his physical body was tough enough, he would have been crushed countless times by the power that erupted from them. Time passed. In the end, Gu Fei couldn't refine all the power in his body into his own. How can I achieve Dao unification? Gu Fei muttered to himself. It had been 300 years, but he still hadn't completely refined the half-step eternal grade origins of the Sky Clan Master and the others. He had underestimated the eternal grade origins of the Sky Clan Master and the others. He hadn't expected them to be so difficult to refine. Gu Fei suddenly had an idea. He took out the mountain and river cauldron and jumped into it. He directly jumped into the mountain river cauldron. Soon, a disheveled old man rushed out of the mountain river cauldron. "What's wrong with this brat? He wants me to use the mountain and river cauldron to refine him?" The old man hovered in the air, looking down at the mountain and river cauldron. After a long moment of thought, he gritted his teeth and activated the mountain and river cauldron. Rumble, rumble, rumble. As soon as the mountain and river cauldron moved, the entire world shook. Primordial chaos godfire burst out of the cauldron and burned toward Gu Fei. The primordial chaos godfire engulfed Gu Fei. Gu Fei had an eternal indestructible body, and his soul was also indestructible. Even if his fleshly body was burned to ashes by the primordial chaos godfire, there were still 4 balls of eternal light floating within it. Of the 4 balls of eternal light, 1 belonged to Jiu Fei, and the other 3 belonged to the others. Jiu Fei wanted to use this extreme method to fuse his power with the other 3, but it was too crazy. Primordial chaos godfire could burn anything in the world. A single wisp of it could kill a supreme being. Under the refinement of the primordial chaos godfire, the 4 balls of eternal light actually showed signs of being refined. Chapter 3974. Rumble. A thunderous sound came from the depths of the starry sky. A huge shadow appeared in the starry sky, trying to break through the barrier of the world and enter the ancestral realm. An eternal aura that could cause even a supreme being's heart to palpitate spread out from this faint and illusory black shadow. All the cultivators in the southern domain and more than half of the central domain could sense this aura. "What's going on?" someone exclaimed. "Did someone succeed?" someone said in disbelief. The eternal aura that came from the depths of the starry sky was too strong. It was many times stronger than the celestial clan master. The shadow was attacking the barrier. Once it broke through the barrier, it could enter the ancestral realm. Boom! In less than half an hour, there was a loud sound. The shadow in the depths of the starry sky broke through the void, tore through the barrier, and entered the ancestral realm with a single step. The moment this creature entered the primogenitor's realm, all the stars in the universe exploded. Billions of creatures in the primogenitor's realm trembled. "Chem, where is that guy from 300 years ago?" An eternal-level spirit force immediately rushed out of the person's body and enveloped the entire starry sky and the entire southern region of the ancestral realm. However, Jiu Fei had already entered the mountain and river cauldron. The god called the mountain and river cauldron had refined him. The mountain and river cauldron could isolate all auras. That supreme expert from the Acrepoid realm could not sense Jiu Fei's existence. That mysterious expert could not find Jiu Fei, but he had alarmed the half-step eternal existences from other regions. In the Central Territory, in an ordinary city, people came and went on the streets. There were many shops on both sides of the street. An old man who was buying sesame seed cake suddenly stopped and looked up into the starry sky. The old man retracted his gaze and sighed. He took a step forward and instantly disappeared into a corner of the street. No one noticed the disappearance of an old man. In the depths of the starry sky, countless Acrepoid race rushed out from the hole behind the mysterious black-robed man. Soon, the Acrepoid race filled the surrounding star regions. This mysterious person was the Acrepoid realm lord. This time, he would personally kill his way into the primogenitor realm. He wanted to bathe the entire primogenitor realm in blood. However, just as the Acrepoid realm lord was about to charge into the progenitor's realm with his ultimate weapon, a figure silently appeared in front of him. "Who are you? Why are you blocking my way?" The Acrepoid realm lord stared at the person in front of him as he coldly spoke. This was an old man that couldn't be any more ordinary. However, it was precisely this old man that caused the Acrepoid realm lord to willingly accept him. 300 years ago, it was you who did it. The old man stared coldly at the Acrepoid realm lord. "So what if I am?" The Acrepoid realm lord spoke in a nonchalant manner. In his eyes, these living beings were nothing more than ants. It was an honor for him to be able to absorb their essence chi. The old man did not speak again. Instead, he took out a knife from his body. The knife was rusty and the blade was full of nicks. It was simply a useless knife. Ha! When the Acrepoid realm lord saw the broken blade in the old man's hand, he couldn't help but laugh out loud. "What do you want to do with this broken blade? Kill me. Don't joke around." The Acrepoid realm lord laughed so hard that tears were coming out of his eyes. "This blade once accompanied me in my conquest of the punishing heavens. It once drank the blood of the Huang Tian Great Emperor. It once slew the demon lord and severed the progenitor devil's arm." The old man's expression was solemn as he caressed the rusty knife in his hand. Hearing the old man's words, the Acrepoid realm lord immediately calmed down. His expression turned solemn as well. The Huang Tian Great Emperor was a powerhouse from the last era. He was a half-step into the eternal realm. For this old man's rusty knife to have drunk his blood was unbelievable. As for the demon lord and the progenitor devil, they were definitely not weaklings. Who the hell are you? The Acrepoid realm lord glared at the old man in front of him. A chilling killing intent radiated from his body. The surrounding void seemed to solidify. However, facing the murderous aura of the Acrepoid realm lord, the old man remained calm and collected. Who I am, you don't need to know. The old man took a step forward as he spoke. The rusty knife in his hand turned into a beam of cold light as it slashed towards the Acrepoid realm lord. There was no mystic art, no spell, but the blade cut through the Acrepoid realm lord's protective astral energy and sliced the Acrepoid realm lord in half. What? The Acrepoid realm lord was in disbelief. The old man's rusty knife was so powerful that it could hurt him. The old man's combat strength was not to be underestimated either. Wang. At that moment, the rusty knife in the old man's hand shone with a boundless divine light. He slashed out again. This time, the Acrepoid realm lord's head was sliced in half. A ray of eternal light burst out from the Acrepoid realm lord's head and rushed into the black hole behind him. It escaped back to the Acrepoid realm. The old man did not chase after the Acrepoid realm lord. Instead, he swung the knife in his hand. An immortal ray of eternal light appeared and sliced through the void. In the next moment, the countless acropoids gathered in space were all killed by the old man. Countless acropoids were sliced in half. The old man sheathed his knife and disappeared into space. Soon, the old man reappeared in the nameless city and continued to buy baked buns. Who would have thought that an old man who bought baked buns was an unparalleled existence? At this time, Ji Yufei had no idea that he had just dodged a bullet. Rumble, the sound of wind and thunder came from within the mountain and river cauldron. The grand mist godly fire burned even brighter. Under the refinement of the grand mist godly fire, the 4 rays of eternal light finally began to merge. What's going on? Outside the Dragonhead Mountain, the Shooting Sun Supremacy and the others who heard the commotion were shocked. At this time, the little old man was operating the mountain and river cauldron with all his might. He had even melted a piece of immortal god steel. However, these 4 rays of eternal light were much harder to melt than immortal god steel. After an unknown amount of time, Ji Yufei suddenly felt as if his soul was being torn apart. Inside the mountain and river cauldron, a figure appeared in the void. The 4 rays of eternal light were being devoured by the figure. Soon, an unimaginably powerful force gathered inside Ji Yufei's body. Another unknown amount of time passed. Boom! Following a loud explosion, the entire mountain and river cauldron exploded. A figure walked out from the destroyed mountain and river cauldron. The little old man felt a great impact. Stinking brat, now it's your turn to help me. After saying that, the little old man disappeared into the fragments of the mountain and river cauldron and fell into a deep slumber. Chapter 3975. Today, I have achieved my Tao, and I will conquer the world. Ji Yufei's voice spread out from the ancestral grounds, and instantly spread throughout the entire southern region. The heavens and earth resonated, and auspicious signs descended from the sky. Clouds and immortal light enveloped the sky, and one could vaguely see divine phoenixes and heavenly dragons circling in the skies. All the cultivators could vaguely hear the sound of the great Tao ringing in the air. Countless cultivators in the southern region saw the phenomenon above the ancestral grounds, and they were all indescribably shocked. Ji Yufei's words, in particular, shocked countless cultivators to the extreme. Conquer the world, what does that mean? Does that person in the ancestral grounds want to conquer the entire ancestral realm, and become the master of a realm? Master of a realm? Regardless of whether they had enmity with Ji Yufei or not, the entire southern region, and even the entire cultivation world of the ancestral realm, were stirred up by Ji Yufei's words. Ji Yufei's strength was unquestionable, but when it came to conquering the ancestral realm, not many people were optimistic about him. In the southern region, he might be invincible, but outside the southern region, it was hard to say. Previously, someone had killed the Acrepoid realm lord with a single slash, and that was the best proof. Although that person did not kill the Acrepoid realm lord, he had destroyed his physical body, and killed the countless acropoids that the Acrepoid Realm Lord had brought with him. Such combat power, even Jiu Fei would be left in the dust. The waters of the ancestral realm were too deep. No one knew how many unimaginable experts were hidden in the 5 great regions. However, some people were very cautious. Since Jiu Fei dared to say such words, he definitely had some confidence. Otherwise, why would he dare to say such words? Just as Jiu Fei came out of seclusion, in the primogenitor devil domain of the primogenitor world, on the primogenitor devil mountain, the 9 devil projections were standing there since ancient times, emitting an incomparably ancient and vicissitude aura. In the dusky sky, astral winds blew from time to time, and the wind whistled. Each figure was thousands of feet tall, and each of them emitted a terrifying aura. This was the primogenitor devil mountain where the 9 great primogenitor devils of the primogenitor devil domain had gathered. If people knew that the 9 great primogenitor realms had gathered, it would definitely shock everyone. After all, ever since the demonic chaos primogenitor realms, the 12 great primogenitor fiends had never gathered. Of course, the 12 ancestor devils had already become a thing of the past because the Blood Wolf ancestor, the Scarlet Fire ancestor, and the 6-armed demon ancestor had already been killed by Jiu Fei. In front of the 9 great demon shadows was an altar. The altar was not tall, only about 300 meters tall. It was covered with all kinds of ancient demon marks, and every demon mark was at the extreme Dao level. The ancient sacrificial altar was stained with blood and appeared to be a kind of dark black color. "Boss, do we really have to go this far?" a demonic shadow said. "Yeah, once it starts, it can't end," another specter said. "It's impossible for us to control an existence like that," another demonic shadow said. "Humph. If that person comes, we'll all die." Someone had a different opinion. "That's right. It's better to live than to die. It's not easy to live to this day." "I don't want to die," a demonic shadow said. "If we give it our all, we might not have to die." A few demons nodded. "Then let's begin." The leading demonic shadow glanced at the demons and said in a deep voice. No one said anything else. The demonic figure in the lead stretched out his right hand and drew a line on his right palm. Immediately, the demonic blood dripped from his hand onto the ancient altar. This was the sovereign demon blood. Every drop could demonize an area and turn it into a terrifying demon realm. However, when the terrifying demon blood dripped onto the ancient devil sacrificial altar, it was instantly devoured, leaving behind only a faint dark brown color. At this time, the other ancestor devils also stretched out their right hands and made a cut on their palms, letting the demon blood drip onto the ancient devil altar. However, after the ancient devil altar absorbed the demon blood of the 9 great ancestor devils, there were no changes. This made the 9 great ancestor devils aghast. "Continue," the leading ancestor devil said in a deep voice. Demon blood continuously dripped from his hand. The other 8 ancestor devils didn't stop either. They also continued to let out their blood. Soon, the demon blood of the 9 great ancestor devils gathered on the ancient devil altar and flowed into each of the demon marks. "What's going on this time? Are we going to use our blood to fill all the Dao marks on the altar?" an ancestor devil said in shock. "Last time, I only filled a third of it," another ancestor devil said. "Cut the crap." The eldest ancestor devil glanced at the 2 ancestor devils who spoke. The 2 ancestor devils immediately shut their mouths. At this moment, the extreme demon blood gradually filled every demonic pattern on the ancient devil sacrificial altar. Then, the ancient devil sacrificial altar finally moved. The demon marks that absorbed the sovereign demon blood started to emit a demonic light. In the end, the demonic light illuminated the dusky world. In the next moment, the ancient devil altar produced a heaven-devouring power. The demonic chi in the entire primogenitor devil territory was drawn and gathered crazily towards the primogenitor devil mountain. Demonic light that could be seen by the naked eye rushed out from all parts of the primogenitor devil territory. Countless black rays of light rushed towards the primogenitor devil mountain and entered the ancient devil altar. The ancient devil altar seemed to have come to life and was crazily devouring the demonic chi from all directions. "All right, retreat," the ancestor devil said as he retracted his right hand and rushed out of the primogenitor devil mountain. The other ancestor devils also retracted their hands and left the primogenitor devil mountain. At this time, the ancient devil altar at the peak of the primogenitor devil mountain started to move on its own. It was plundering the demonic chi in the primogenitor devil territory. A terrifying demonic energy started to condense on the ancient devil altar. At this time, the entire primogenitor devil territory was in chaos. Countless demonic beings were roaring. It was as terrifying as the end of the world. Everything's demonic chi was rapidly disappearing. The 1,000-jong-tall demonic tree was rapidly withering. Its branches and leaves were dried up, and the tree trunk lost its vitality. After that, it completely lost its life essence. Even the other demonic beings in the primogenitor devil territory couldn't escape. A demonic beast that was as huge as a mountain directly fell to the ground. Streams of demonic chi rushed out from the body of this demonic beast. Very quickly, this demonic beast turned into a dried corpse. The primogenitor devil territory was huge. However, at this time, countless demonic beings had lost their demonic chi. Demonic corpses could be seen everywhere in the devil territory. Even the powerful demons weren't spared. For example, the three-eyed demons. Although they had the protection of the demon saint, they still couldn't resist the devouring of the ancient devil altar. Hundreds of thousands of three-eyed demons had turned into dried corpses. In an instant, the entire primogenitor devil territory was filled with wails. As for the 9 great ancestor devils, they looked at everything coldly. An incomparably huge black whirlpool appeared in the sky above the primogenitor devil territory. Not only the demonic chi, even the heaven and earth essence outside the primogenitor devil territory was being drawn in. The movement of the devil territory shocked the entire world. Brothers, download and install the 17K app. If you sign in for 3 consecutive days, you can get a day of VIP access. You can read all the novels on the website for free. Just choose the normal download option. Chapter 3976. The primogenitor realm's devil domain was definitely the source of chaos in the primogenitor realm. All the sects and clan leaders wanted to destroy this devil domain, but they never succeeded. This time, a shocking phenomenon suddenly appeared in the primogenitor demon domain. The vortex above the devil domain was terrifying, as if it could devour the entire primogenitor realm. The black hole vortex was not only devouring the devil chi of the primogenitor demon domain, but it was also devouring the essence chi of heaven and earth. The lush forest outside the primogenitor demon domain was quickly losing its vitality. The flowers and trees quickly withered, and the originally green mountain ridges turned yellow. Countless birds and beasts living in the mountain ridges also fell to the ground. A golden rock soared into the sky from a cave dwelling, wanting to escape. However, rays of golden light rushed out of the golden rock's body. In just an instant, the powerful golden rock's entire body's essence chi was completely drained, and it turned into a dried corpse, falling from the sky. Boom! A mountain ridges exploded, and a demonic giant rushed out of the mountain ridges, wanting to escape from this place. With just a few steps, the giant had already traveled 1,000 miles. It was about to charge out of the range of the terrifying devouring power. However, everything was in vain. The demonic giant's essence chi crazily rushed out of his body, turning into rays of demonic light that soared into the sky, rushing towards the black hole vortex above the primogenitor demon domain. The demonic giant, who was just one step away from escaping, finally let out a sorrowful roar and fell to the ground. This was definitely a disaster. The primogenitor demon domain, and the living beings within billions of miles, were all in trouble. Especially the primogenitor demon domain. 95% of the devil chi was devoured by the black hole vortex in the sky, and this 5% devil chi was suppressed by the 9 great primogenitor demon domain. Otherwise, the entire primogenitor demon domain would collapse and be completely erased from this earth. The 9 great primogenitor demon domain naturally would not watch the primogenitor demon domain be destroyed in front of their eyes. Naturally, they had to protect this devil domain. At this time, the primogenitor demon mountain, the sacred mountain in the eyes of billions of demons in the primogenitor demon domain, was still standing between heaven and earth, and the ancient altar at the peak of the ancestor demon mountain had already flown high into the sky. The ancient altar condensed endless devil chi, and was carrying out some kind of summoning. Rumble, in the depths of the huge black hole in the sky, a thunderous roar came from the heavens. A terrifying demonic figure could be vaguely seen inside, as though it was struggling to come out. "Haha, I'm about to succeed. In the end, this world belongs to us, the demons." One of the progenitor fiends laughed out loud. He stared at the demonic figure in the depths of the black hole in the sky with a crazed look in his eyes. Ancestor is the #1 devil born in the primogenitor world, the ancestor of all demons. He's invincible. As long as we can invite him over, would we have to fear that madman Gu Fei? A progenitor fiend stared at the fiendish figure in the whirlpool in the sky with a grave expression. "It's easy to invite them in, but it's hard to send them away," a primogenitor devil said worriedly. The #1 primogenitor devil was an invincible existence who had lived for countless eras. It was unknown how many battles he had fought, but he was still alive and well. However, the #1 primogenitor devil was in an unfathomable state. Only the ancient devil sacrificial altar could summon him. However, the biggest problem was the #1 primogenitor devil's state. He was sometimes sober, and sometimes crazy. It was fine when he was sober, but once he sank into madness, it would be a disaster for everyone. This was also why the 9 great primogenitor devils absolutely wouldn't summon the #1 primogenitor devil unless it was absolutely necessary. It was very likely that they would die at the hands of the #1 primogenitor devil. As the black hole devoured more and more devil chi and heaven and earth essence chi, the terrifying fiendish figure in the depths of the whirlpool emitted more and more devil might. The supremes in the primogenitor world all sensed the changes in the primogenitor demon realm. The primogenitor demon realm immediately attracted the attention of all the extreme Tao supremes in the primogenitor world. Could it be that those fellows are actually summoning that madman? A super antique who had lived for countless years and experienced many eras seemed to think of a certain legend. Back then, the primogenitor world had almost become a world of devils. In the end, the demons didn't succeed and could only retreat to the primogenitor demon realm. At that time, almost all the extreme Tao supremes in the primogenitor world were mobilized. If nothing unexpected happened, the primogenitor demon realm would have been flattened. However, at the final juncture, an accident still happened. The 12 primogenitor devils actually summoned an unimaginable existence. In that battle, that unimaginable existence directly killed the supremes of the 5 great domains. Countless supremes fell, directly leading to the decline of many superforces that had existed for countless years. In the end, the primogenitor demon realm continued to exist. The 12 primogenitor devils continued to occupy the primogenitor demon realm, confronting the various powerful clans of the primogenitor world. Thinking of how terrifying that terrifying existence was, those super antiques couldn't remain calm. That was an existence that surpassed the extreme Tao. Its devil might covered the heavens. If it weren't for the supreme powerhouses intervening at the crucial moment, the 5 regions' allied army would have been completely annihilated. What's going on? In a certain city in the primogenitor world, an old man buying sesame seed cakes frowned. He then raised his head and looked in the direction of the primogenitor demon realm. His gaze was incomparably deep. This old man had previously destroyed the physical body of the Acrepoid realm's lord. However, this time, the old man didn't move. He continued to make his sesame seed cakes. Primogenitor demon realm? In the ancestral land of the Sky Clan, Gu Fei suddenly raised his head. His gaze seemed to be able to see through the endless void. He directly saw the shocking scene in the sky above the primogenitor demon realm. Interesting. Gu Fei suddenly smiled. The primogenitor demon realm actually hid such a powerful demon. This was the confidence of the primogenitor demon realm. With the first primogenitor demon, who would dare to casually provoke the demons in the primogenitor demon realm? Swish. Gu Fei's heart moved. In the next moment, he directly disappeared into the void. Roar. At this moment, a terrifying roar came from the sky above the primogenitor demon realm. Then, the demonic shadow in the black hole whirlpool actually directly walked out of it, step by step. With every step, the demonic shadow swallowed an endless amount of essence chi. Boom! With a loud bang, the black hole whirlpool exploded. A terrifying and monstrous power erupted, and then it was completely swallowed by the demonic shadow. The pressure on the demonic shadow's body rapidly increased, directly exceeding the extreme Tao. At this time, Ji Yufei's figure appeared in the distance. Haha, Ji Yufei, you came at the right time, the primogenitor great demon suddenly laughed. Boom. Chapter 3977. If I return, the world will be turned upside down. The first demon ancestor's voice spread throughout the ancestral realm. Billions of creatures were terrified to the extreme. The next moment, the first demon ancestor, who didn't care about his youth, directly stared at Ji Yufei. He took a step forward and instantly appeared above Ji Yufei's head. Then, he stomped down on Ji Yufei. Let's see how you'll turn the world upside down. Ji Yufei roared and directly punched upward. It didn't have an overly powerful aura, but the void was directly torn apart by his fist. Bang! With a muffled sound, the two forces instantly collided and exploded. A transparent ripple immediately spread between Ji Yufei and the first demon ancestor. Wherever the ripple passed, the void was silently annihilated. The 9 first demons hurriedly retreated into the distance. They sadly discovered that they couldn't interfere in a battle of this level. It wasn't that they were too weak. They were the first demons, the most powerful demons in the ancestral realm. Especially the first demon ancestor, the great demon, who could compete with supremacies. It was just that Ji Yufei and the first demon ancestor were too powerful. The battle has begun. Everyone was inexplicably shocked. The aura of the 2 supreme existences in the eternal realm was vast and mighty, shaking the entire ancestral realm. Even the stars in the starry sky were on the verge of collapse. This battle could only be watched by existences in the extreme Tao. Cultivators below the extreme Tao were not qualified or capable of coming to watch. The 2 existences in the eternal realm could easily disrupt the laws of heaven and earth in the entire world. Yi Qingtian's figure appeared in the distant sky. The battle between Ji Yufei and the first demon ancestor had actually alarmed him. He had been staying in the Lost Land for a long time and hadn't left it for a long time. Since Yi Qingtian was alarmed, the evil ancestor naturally came as well. The appearance of 2 great existences that had surpassed the extreme Tao realm caused countless supreme beings to be indescribably shocked. Existences of this level normally did not reveal themselves and rarely appeared. The appearance of Yi Qingtian and the evil ancestor shocked the extreme Tao supremes who were watching the battle. This guy is even stronger than before. Yi Qingtian looked at Ji Yufei, who was fighting the first demon ancestor, and muttered to himself. A cold glint flashed across his eyes. The evil ancestor did not think much of it. Boom! Bam! Muffled sounds of collisions rang out continuously. The 2 supreme existences that surpassed the extreme Tao used their divine arts and were locked in a stalemate. This directly shook half of the ancestral realm. This battle was destined to shake the world. Fortunately, this battle did not break out in the outside world. If it had been in the outside world, billions of living beings would have fallen. 3,000 world flicks. The primogenitor first devil immediately used an eternal mystic ability. In the blink of an eye, he conjured 3,000 worlds. This was a mystic ability that was absolutely shocking. Even the supreme supremacies were dumbfounded when they saw this. The existence of the eternal realm could actually open up 3,000 macro worlds in the blink of an eye. This was simply a miracle. The 3,000 demon realms simultaneously quaked and destroyed Ji Yufei. In the face of this power and mystic ability, even supreme supremacies were like ants. In the next moment, Ji Yufei felt the world spinning around him, as if he had entered another world. Boundless world energy pressed down on him. Roar! Ji Yufei roared at the sky, and powerful eternal power erupted. One world after another collapsed around him, turning into terrifying destructive power that was enough to obliterate everything. He was like a god of destruction that could destroy the world. With a roar, a ball of eternal light emerged from his body, blocking the destructive power that was about to obliterate everything. Blade, come. Ji Yufei extended his right hand, and a peerless ominous blade immediately appeared in his hand. The moment he grasped the peerless ominous saber, the god's will within the peerless ominous saber was instantly awakened, and this supreme Tao artifact immediately displayed its peak power. Without any hesitation, he held the blade with both hands and slashed forward with all his might. The terrifying blade light instantly transformed into a dragon that soared into the sky, directly breaking through the layers of demonic skies. One blade to break 10,000 world. With a roar, the peerless ominous blade in Ji Yufei's hand actually flew up, instantly destroying 3,000 demon realms. The momentum of the blade didn't change, and it directly slashed towards the first demon ancestor. The first demon ancestor was taken aback. He never imagined that Ji Yufei could so easily break his peerless mystic ability of the flicking 3,000 worlds. The peerless ominous blade instantly slashed down, and the first demon ancestor blasted out a fist, directly smashing it. Clang! The demonic fist and the peerless ominous blade collided, and like iron being forged, the peerless ominous blade was also smashed away. The blade light dissipated, revealing the body of the blade. The first demon ancestor's fist, on the other hand, was completely unharmed. This was the strength of the fleshly body of an eternal realm expert. Even the most powerful supreme Tao tool couldn't hurt an eternal realm expert. If the peerless ominous blade hadn't been reinforced by Ji Yufei's power, the first demon ancestor's fist would have smashed the peerless ominous blade into pieces. Ji Yufei waved his right hand, and the peerless ominous blade that had been smashed away by the first demon ancestor's fist immediately flew back to him, and he grabbed it. In the next moment, the peerless ominous blade erupted with a peerless ominous might, causing the stars in the sky to tremble under its might. Little guy, today I'll show you what a truly invincible weapon is, the first demon ancestor said, and then spat out a demon sword from his mouth. Only to see that this demon sword also emitted eternal fluctuations of power. Eternal Tao tool? When Ji Yufei saw this, he couldn't help but frown. This was the first time he saw a demon tool like this, and it was even stronger than a supreme Tao tool. One sword to split the heavens. The first demon ancestor shouted. The demon sword only trembled slightly, and the entire world seemed to be split in half. A pitch-black spatial rift appeared between heaven and earth, and it instantly spread towards Ji Yufei. Die! Ji Yufei's battle intent surged, and his blood boiled. He swung the peerless ominous blade in his hand, and with a clang, he blocked the split the heavens demon sword. He only felt a powerful force pass through the demon sword, and he couldn't help but be knocked back thousands of meters. Ji Yufei looked down and saw a soybean-sized chip on the blade of the peerless ominous blade. What the hell did the first demon ancestor summon? Ji Yufei couldn't help but be moved. This opponent's strength far exceeded his expectations. Such an existence shouldn't even exist in this world. Haha, Ji Yufei is dead for sure this time. Chapter 3978. Is Ji Yufei's invincibility going to end here? The sovereigns watching the battle from afar were indescribably shocked. The demon summoned by the primogenitor devil was so powerful that even Ji Yufei was forced to retreat. Didn't that mean that even Ji Yufei wasn't a match for it? It's too early to say that, someone said. After all, the battle had just begun. Who would win and who would lose would only be known after the battle. Ever since Ji Yufei made his debut, he had been invincible. Whether it was exterminating the Wood clan, defeating the 9 Supremes, or defeating 3 half-step eternal existences a year ago. Any one of these achievements was enough to shock the world. How could such an amazing existence be defeated here? It was simply a joke. Boom. Sure enough, in the next moment, Ji Yufei's body erupted with an even stronger power. Eternal God light emerged from his body, making him look like a flaming god of war. Eternal God light danced on his body like divine fire. After he refined the origin energy of the celestial clan master and the others, his cultivation base had completely stabilized. However, Who would have thought that the ancestor devil would actually summon such a demon? And this demon turned out to be in existence in the eternal realm. His eternal heavenly tribulation had yet to come. Little guy, you're no good. The ancestor devil looked at Jiu Fei with a smile that wasn't a smile. A sword transformed into a sword light that circled around him, exuding a heart-palpitating aura of eternity. You actually said that I'm no good. Jiu Fei was angry. He hated it when people said that he was no good. Die. Without any hesitation, Jiu Fei slashed at the ancestor devil. Buzz. The void trembled. The dragon-shaped saber light was extremely fierce. Wherever it passed, everything was destroyed, leaving nothing behind. This was a saber strike of absolute destruction. The ancestor devil gently pressed his left hand forward, and the dragon-shaped saber light suddenly exploded. The first demon of the primogenitor actually blocked Jiu Fei's attack so easily, leaving the spectating supreme beings dumbstruck and in disbelief. Ha ha, after devouring you, my cultivation base will definitely advance further. The first demon progenitor laughed maniacally as he attacked. A huge hand instantly appeared in the void and grabbed at Jiu Fei. You want to devour me? Ha ha. Jiu Fei laughed out loud. The next moment, boom, with a loud bang, he charged forward fiercely. The air exploded and the space collapsed. His strength instantly broke through the limits of his body. Both Jiu Fei's physical strength and speed soared in an instant. Bam! Jiu Fei's fist smashed into the first devil ancestor's chest, and the first devil ancestor's body exploded. This, the might of Jiu Fei's punch was so powerful that all the supremes watching the battle were stunned. That was a devil in the eternal realm. The power of the extreme shattering fist was too great. However, Jiu Fei still had a solemn look on his face, because the existence of the eternal realm would not be so easily killed. Sure enough, the torn flesh and blood quickly gathered together, and even the blood flew back into the first devil ancestor's body. Very good. You've successfully angered me. The first devil patriarch's flesh color returned to normal, and his eternal devil body emanated an aura that left countless supremes in awe. So what if I angered you? Jiu Fei said disdainfully. Damn it. I've changed my mind. I'm going to crush your soul for millions of years, and refine it with devil flames day and night. I'll make you beg for death, but you can't. The first devil ancestor stared at Jiu Fei, and his blood-red eyes flashed with a murderous light. Come at me if you have the guts. What's the point of talking so much? Jiu Fei said impatiently. Roar. The first devil ancestor roared. In the next moment, the entire world crumbled, and a terrifying destructive power erupted from the body of the eternal devil ancestor. Jiu Fei bore the brunt of the attack, and he coughed up blood again and again. He almost lost his grip on his peerless blade. Jiu Fei was indescribably shocked. The first devil ancestor's methods were truly unbelievable. Was he trying to destroy the world with his own strength? Chaotic yin and yang, Jiu Fei directly used this mystic art. In the next moment, the space around him twisted and warped, as though yin and yang were in chaos, blocking the destructive power. Little fella, the first devil ancestor roared and attacked in a frenzy. But at this moment, Jiu Fei suddenly felt an unknown threat coming from this world. It was as though there was a pair of eyes staring at him from the unseen world. Shit. Jiu Fei was shocked when he sensed all of this. Heavenly tribulation. Haha, it's heavenly tribulation. You're dead for sure. The first devil ancestor laughed maniacally. The eternal devil sword in his hand transformed into an incomparably resplendent sword light that intertwined with Jiu Fei. Jiu Fei punched out, directly colliding with the sword light. Then, he took a step forward and instantly appeared above the first devil ancestor's head. Rumble, as Jiu Fei's foot landed, the space beneath his feet trembled, and pitch-black spatial cracks spread out in all directions. Heaven trampling step, trample the heavens with 1 foot. Jiu Fei used the heaven trampling step. Boom. With a loud bang, the first devil ancestor was trampled down from the sky by Jiu Fei's foot, smashing into the ground. At this time, a power condensed rapidly in the sky. This was a power that could destroy everything, causing the souls of Supremes to tremble. Shit, the heavenly tribulation came at this time? Gu Fei smiled bitterly. The eternal heavenly tribulation was no ordinary heavenly tribulation. This was a power that surpassed the heavens and earth. Ordinary Supremes were like ants before this power. At this time, the first devil ancestor attacked again. Moreover, the heavenly tribulation had a great effect on Gu Fei. For a moment, Gu Fei was in a desperate situation. My fate is up to me, not the heavens. Eternal devil ancestor? Heavenly tribulation? Bring it on. Gu Fei's blood was boiling, and his battle intent was unprecedentedly strong. His eyes shone like lightning, dazzling. Seeing this scene, the spectating Supremes were shocked. Ha ha, the first devil ancestor laughed maniacally. His blood-red eyes revealed a chaotic look. What? The first devil ancestor couldn't help but be shocked. The first devil ancestor was about to descend into madness. This was not a good thing for everyone present. Once the first devil ancestor fell into a frenzy of slaughter, he would kill anyone he saw until he regained his senses. What should we do? Chapter 3979. Gu Fei was fighting the first primogenitor demon. The first primogenitor demon was the first demon born from the primal chaos of the primogenitor realm. It was still alive after countless eras. However, Gu Fei knew that it wasn't easy for the first primogenitor demon to survive until now. It must have used some unimaginable secret technique and paid a hefty price to survive until now. Of course, this wasn't something he needed to worry about. He wasn't interested in how the first primogenitor demon managed to survive for so long. Gu Fei hadn't fallen to the point where he needed to use the demon's secret technique to extend his life. However, Gu Fei was in a desperate situation. While he was fighting the first primogenitor demons, his heavenly tribulation had arrived. It was his eternal heavenly tribulation. The power of the heavenly tribulation rapidly condensed, and the entire world darkened. The spectating Supremes were indescribably shocked when they sensed the destructive aura descending from the sky. All the Supremes retreated at once. This was an eternal heavenly tribulation. If they were caught up in it, they were dead for sure. However, the first primogenitor demon, who was fighting Gu Fei, gradually descended into madness. This made the 9 primogenitor demons extremely nervous. Let's go. The 9 primogenitor demons turned around and left without looking back. If the first primogenitor demon descended into madness, it would definitely be a disaster. Every living being it saw would become its target and be killed. Roar. The first primogenitor demon roared, forcing Gu Fei to retreat. At this moment, Gu Fei had to deal with both the heaven tribulation and the number 1 demon of the primogenitor realm. He was a little flustered. Soon enough, blinding bolts of lightning appeared in the sky. The destructive aura spread out in all directions, and billions of living beings were terrified. Bang! While Gu Fei was distracted, the first primogenitor demon's fist landed on his shoulder and sent him flying thousands of miles away. Damn it! Gu Fei was furious. In the next moment, he took a step forward and instantly disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already above the first progenitor's head. Sky trampling with one step, Gu Fei's right foot stomped down on the primogenitor's first demon. In an instant, the heaven and earth beneath his feet seemed to have been destroyed. The void was annihilated, transforming into a terrifying destructive force that enveloped the primogenitor's first demon. This was a near-invincible combat skill that Gu Fei had created after he had broken through to the extreme grade realm by combining countless cultivation methods and combat skills. It was called Heaven Treading Steps. Roar. The first demon ancestor roared madly. Boundless demonic energy rushed out of his body, turning into a peerless sword light that pierced upwards. However, all the sword lights shattered under Gu Fei's feet. Bam! Crack! Gu Fei viciously stomped down with his foot, and a dull thud and the sound of breaking bones rang out at the same time. The first demon patriarch was trampled down from the sky again. The first demon patriarch's entire body was covered in boundless demonic energy. The demonic energy of the eternal grade shook the heavens. With the eternal devil sword in hand, he directly attacked from the ground. The eternal devil body was indestructible. It was difficult for Ji Yufei's attack to truly injure the first demon patriarch. Die! The first demon patriarch roared madly. Countless stars in the sky exploded. Mountains collapsed, the earth quaked, and countless living beings were directly killed by the sound waves. Even the extreme grade supremes who were watching the battle from afar felt their blood churn when they heard the first demon ancestors roar. Some of the weaker supremes even had blood dripping from the corners of their mouths as they retreated in terror. In front of such an existence, the extreme grade supremes were as weak as ants. Boundless killing intent erupted from the first demon patriarch, causing the heavens to pale. At the same time, the devil sword in the first demon patriarch's hand erupted with unprecedented demonic energy. The first demon patriarch gently slashed the void. A spatial rift that stretched as far as the eye could see appeared in the void. Ji Yufei raised his hand to shatter the peerless sword light that was slashing towards him. Then, he engaged in a frenzied battle with the first primogenitor. For a time, the sky above was extremely chaotic, and black holes appeared in the void. Someone as strong as Ji Yufei and the first demon patriarch could easily tear the void apart with just a wave of their hands. Boom! Bam! Dull thuds resounded. Ji Yufei raised his hand and sent the first demon patriarch flying. But very quickly, he was sent flying back by the first demon patriarch. The two supreme existences of the eternal grade were evenly matched. The countless supremes watching the battle were indescribably shocked. One must know that the first demon patriarch was an existence that had lived for countless years. His cultivation and battle prowess had reached an unimaginable level. On the other hand, Ji Yufei hadn't even transcended his eternal heavenly tribulation. Heaven transformation palm. Ji Yufei didn't hesitate and immediately used the hand of heaven form. The power of heaven form immediately surged out from his hand and enveloped the first demon ancestor in an instant. In the next moment, the first demon patriarch dissipated like dust. Even his soul was turned into nothingness by the power of heaven transformation. Seeing this scene, everyone was dumbfounded. What's going on? That demon patriarch was killed by Ji Yufei? Someone said in disbelief. One must know that the first demon patriarch was an eternal demon patriarch that had lived for countless years. How could he be defeated just like that? His body and soul were destroyed. The 9 great primogenitor fiends had already retreated far enough, but they were still watching the battle. Impossible, the first demon patriarch's voice trembled. Boom! Just at this moment, the tribulation clouds pressed down and a terrifying bolt of lightning descended from the sky, directly blasting Ji Yufei's body, causing him to stagger and almost fall from the sky. The eternal heavenly tribulation was activated. Ji Yufei raised his head and looked at the sky. His expression was incomparably grave. This eternal heavenly tribulation was much more terrifying than he had expected. That bolt of lightning just now was enough to kill any supremacy. Even a supremacy wouldn't be able to block it. At this time, the void trembled. The figure of the first demon patriarch that Ji Yufei had killed appeared again. Endless demonic energy erupted from his body, instantly covering the entire world. Ji Yufei was surprised to see this. This guy wasn't afraid of the eternal heavenly tribulation. However, he soon understood. This eternal heavenly tribulation seemed to be targeting only him. The others seemed to be fearless under the eternal heavenly tribulation. The eternal heavenly tribulation wouldn't target others. Could it be that the eternal heavenly tribulation had its own consciousness? Ji Yufei stared at the first demon patriarch, and his pupils couldn't help but shrink. In this way, it was as if he was fighting against 2 supreme existences at the eternal realm at the same time. In this way, no one was optimistic about Ji Yufei's chances. Brothers, download and install the 17K client. If you sign in for 3 consecutive days, you can get a day of VIP access. You can read all the novels on the website for free for a day. Just choose the normal download option. Chapter 3980. The eternal heavenly tribulation was different from ordinary heavenly tribulations. This was a heavenly tribulation that only targeted the person undergoing it. Even if others were to stand under it, they wouldn't be in any danger. This was also the reason why the first demon ancestor dared to attack Gu Fei when Gu Fei's eternal heavenly tribulation was about to descend. Of course, at this time, the first demon ancestor had already fallen into an endless frenzy of slaughter. This guy was even stronger than when he was awake. Roar. The first demon ancestor roared, shattering heaven and earth. He crazily attacked Gu Fei. The endless void was constantly annihilated, as if doomsday had arrived. A terrifying demonic aura spread out, forcing the surrounding extreme grade supremes to retreat continuously. Some of the weaker supremes actually fell from the sky. Although the extreme Dao supremes that fell from the sky didn't die, they were still covered in dust and looked battered and exhausted. Even an extreme supremacy could feel his soul trembling under the demonic might. The two auras of immortality and eternity constantly collided between heaven and earth, pressuring the countless supremes in the ancestral realm to bow their heads. Only the half-step eternal existences could barely withstand it. Rumble. At this time, lightning struck from the tribulation clouds above Gu Fei's head. Although lightning was the power of destruction, it also brought him a trace of eternal divinity. The destructive lightning struck Gu Fei's body. Even someone as strong as him and his eternal indestructible body were left with traces of lightning. Gu Fei was incomparably miserable. While being bombarded by lightning, he still had to fight the first demon ancestor endlessly. It was as if he was fighting two eternal supremes at the same time. He was repeatedly blasted away by the first demon ancestor, and even suffered a blow from the first demon ancestor. His left arm was almost cut off, which shocked and angered him. Although Gu Fei's eternal indestructible body was powerful and was known as eternal, the devil sword in the first demon ancestor's hand was a genuine eternal devil artifact. Even an eternal indestructible physique would be injured after being struck by the eternal devil sword. In the blink of an eye, Gu Fei's wounds were healed, and his battle blood boiled. Eyes flashing like lightning, he unleashed a fist strike that was 10 times as powerful as before. It was like a raging wave that slammed into the first devil patriarch. Bam! With a muffled sound, the first devil patriarch was smashed into pieces by Gu Fei's fist. Terrifying, seeing Gu Fei blow up the primogenitor first devil ancestor with a single punch, all the supremes were dumbfounded once more. This Gu Fei was simply too amazing. He had blown up the eternal devil ancestor with a single punch. Heaven transformation hand, transform. Without any hesitation, Gu Fei used the heaven transformation palm. In the next moment, the power of the heaven transformation palm burst forth, reducing the first demon primogenitor's body into nothingness once more. He wanted to wipe away the first demon progenitor's divine soul imprint and kill him for good. However, at this moment, boundless tribulation lightning descended from the sky and engulfed him in lightning. This is preposterous. Gu Fei roared in anger. The eternal heavenly lightning was simply too powerful. His hair was standing on end, and his body was charred black. He was in an incomparably sorry state. He charged out of the eternal lightning sea. At the same time, the first devil patriarch reformed his body and charged at Gu Fei again. Blood-colored sword light pierced through the void, ignoring the barriers of space and stabbing into Gu Fei's body. Fart! Blood splattered everywhere. The first devil patriarch's sword pierced through Gu Fei's body and nailed him to the void. Although the first devil patriarch was in a state of madness, he instinctively fought against Gu Fei. In this state, he was even more terrifying than when he was sober. One had to know that this guy had lived for countless months, and his combat experience was plentiful. Perhaps no one in the primogenitor's realm could compare to him. Gu Fei directly sent the first devil patriarch flying. Then, he pulled out the devil sword that was stabbed into his body and attacked the first devil patriarch. His wounds healed quickly. Soon, the place where he was stabbed was completely healed. He was still full of vitality. At this time, the destructive power coming from the tribulation clouds grew stronger and stronger. Even Gu Fei couldn't help but be shocked. The eternal heavenly tribulation could injure existences in the eternal realm. Gu Fei also fell into madness. He fought against the first devil patriarch until the heavens and the earth cracked. In the end, the entire domain was destroyed. The primogenitor demon domain was completely erased from the primogenitor's realm. When the 9 great primogenitor demons saw this scene, they almost vomited blood. The primogenitor demon domain that they had managed for countless years was completely destroyed. Fortunately, when they left the primogenitor demon domain, they brought the altar with them. Otherwise, they would be in big trouble. Gu Fei, the 9 great primogenitor demons hated Gu Fei to the core, but they couldn't do anything. Raw. Gu Fei was incomparably fierce. He directly grabbed the first devil patriarch's legs and forcefully pulled, unexpectedly tearing the first devil patriarch in half. Demon blood dyed the blue sky. This scene was extremely shocking. It was deeply imprinted in the mind of every extreme Tao supremacy who saw this scene. At this time, the demon blood burned, turning into a terrifying demon fire that burned towards Gu Fei. In the midst of the demon fire, a terrifying demon shadow loomed. It was really difficult to kill an existence in the eternal realm. Ordinary means couldn't kill an eternal expert at all. If one wanted to kill these guys, they must have some special abilities. At this time, a sea of lightning once again appeared above Gu Fei's head. Within this sea of lightning, there were vague but powerful figures. Gu Fei was extremely shocked. From these faint and illusory figures, he sensed the aura of immortality and eternity, as if there were eternal supremacy standing there. Even Gu Fei couldn't help but feel his heart palpitate. In the sea of lightning, those faint and illusory figures attacked. It was as if countless supremacy were attacking at the same time. Gu Fei was directly beaten into a cloud of blood mist. The eternal divinity in the sea of lightning began to be absorbed by Gu Fei's divine soul. The eternal aura emitted from his divine soul became even stronger. Swish! At this time, a blood-red sword light directly broke through the layers of the sea of lightning, cutting Gu Fei's divine soul in half. Raw. Gu Fei went crazy. His divine soul crazily devoured the essence qi from all directions, even the power of heavenly tribulation. He directly reformed his body, then rushed out, hugged the first devil patriarch, and soared into the sky, directly into the tribulation clouds of the eternal heavenly tribulation. Rumble. The power of the eternal heavenly tribulation boiled. Gu Fei's body and the body of the first devil patriarch were instantly torn to pieces by the destructive power. Of the 2 supreme existences in the eternal realm, only their divine souls were left. The power of the eternal heavenly tribulation was too strong. When it suddenly erupted, even Gu Fei and the first devil patriarch couldn't withstand it. The first devil patriarch's divine soul was directly torn apart. But at this moment, he woke up. I'm going to send you into the cycle of reincarnation. I'm going to destroy you in it. Chapter 3981. Devil blood stains the azure sky, life opens reincarnation. The primogenitor's divine will rippled through the entire primogenitor realm. Regardless of whether they were cultivators or not, these words rang in the minds of every living being in the primogenitor realm. Then, the primogenitor first devil vanished from the world. His fleshly body, soul, and the most primal life imprint were all gone. The power triggered by this kind of price was also the most powerful power in history. The entire world turned blood red, and in the sky, 6 huge vortexes appeared. It was as if the 6 paths of reincarnation had appeared in the world. Gu Fei's soul and the power of the eternal heavenly tribulation were devoured by one of the black holes. The heavenly tribulation that enveloped the entire world was actually devoured. Everyone found it hard to believe. One had to know that this was the eternal heavenly tribulation. Madness, they've all gone mad. The primogenitor first devil actually used his life to open the 6 paths of reincarnation. One of the super old-timers stared at the 6 black holes in the sky in horror. As the 6 black holes devoured the world, many of the spectating supremes were involuntarily sucked into them. They screamed as they were swallowed by the black holes and sent into reincarnation. Run! Seeing this, the extreme Tao supremes were terrified to the extreme. They immediately unleashed their powerful mystical abilities and left the place. Some of the Supremes even tore through the void and hid in the primal chaos. However, the 6 black holes in the sky continued to expand and soon covered the entire sky. Countless lifeforms flew over from all directions and were sucked into the 6 black holes. Even the flowers and trees were no exception. The Supremes were dumbfounded. What in the world did that devil do? Did he really open the 6 paths of reincarnation? One of the exalts exclaimed in shock. The 6 paths of reincarnation was nothing more than a legend in the primogenitor realm. However, many people believed in its existence. The Buddhist lord of the mortal world had thought of all sorts of ways to establish the 6 paths of reincarnation. However, even after spending his entire life, he failed to establish the true 6 paths of reincarnation. But now, the true 6 paths of reincarnation had appeared. The primogenitor first devil was an eternal devil ancestor. It was hard to imagine that he would pay with his life to open the 6 paths of reincarnation. The primogenitor first devil, that lunatic, someone was shouting. The 6 paths of reincarnation couldn't appear because no one could control the power of reincarnation. Once it went out of control, the consequences would be unimaginable. The entire primogenitor realm would probably be destroyed. Sigh. In a certain small city in the primogenitor realm, it was the old man who bought fried pancakes again. He helplessly stopped. I just want to buy sesame seed cake in peace. The old man shook his head and sighed before disappearing into the void again. The small town was hundreds of millions of miles away from the ancestor demon territory, but in just a breath's time, the old man appeared on a mountain near the 6 paths of reincarnation vortex. At this time, the power of the 6 paths of reincarnation spread out in all directions. Mountains crumbled one after another, turning into dust that soared into the sky and was directly devoured by the reincarnation vortex. The 6 paths of reincarnation vortex wasn't just devouring life, it was devouring the entire world. We've gone too far this time. The old man shook his head helplessly and put down the burden on his shoulder. At this time, on another mountain peak next to the old man's, another person appeared without any warning. This person was a middle-aged fat man. He held a bull-slaughtering knife in one hand and a bull's head in the other. He was barefooted, and the cloth shoe on his foot had already fallen off to who knew where. It was obvious that this fat man was in a hurry to come. He didn't even put down the bull's head. Bull slaughterer, you're here too? You ran so fast that you lost your shoe. The old man said with a smile. Bull slaughterer, you were 1 step ahead of me last time, and now you're faster than me again. If I had known this would happen, I wouldn't have come. The bull slaughterer fatty said unhappily. What's going on? At this time, another figure appeared in the sky. It was a slender middle-aged man in cyan robes. He was holding a banner in his hand that had the words Divine Divination of Heavenly Secrets written on it. Fortune teller, can you come a little later? The old man said to the fortune teller in the sky. This guy is busy with fortune telling. It's good enough that he's here. The middle-aged fat butcher said disapprovingly. Me. I'm still busy buying the fried pancakes. The old man who bought the fried pancakes was very dissatisfied. All right. If you don't make a move, this place will not exist anymore. The middle-aged fat butcher threw away the bull's head in his hand and said impatiently. Even if the ancestral world returns to chaos, we can open up a new world and continue to live freely. Why are you in such a hurry to make a move? The middle-aged fortune teller said disapprovingly. If the ancestral world returns to chaos, we won't be able to go back. You bastard. The old man who bought the sesame seed cake cursed. Then why aren't you making a move? The middle-aged fortune teller said indifferently. You bastard. The old man was furious, but he couldn't do anything to this guy. Although this guy was unreliable, his cultivation and combat strength were there. At most, he was on par with this guy. Moreover, if they were to fight, it wouldn't be fun. Boom. In the next moment, a ball of eternal light burst out from the old man's body. The eternal power spread out in all directions. Then, a shocking scene appeared on his body. The white hair on his head turned black quickly, the color around his face faded, and finally disappeared completely. His slightly hunched back straightened. In just a breath or two, The old man had turned into a handsome young man. The only thing that didn't change was the patched clothes on his body. This was the true appearance of the old man who bought the fried pancakes, and it was also his peak state. 6 paths of reincarnation? Get lost. The young man flew up and came before the 6 paths of reincarnation vortexes. The heaven-devouring power from the vortexes couldn't do anything to the young man. The young man stretched out his right hand and pressed forward. A supremely strong eternal power burst forth as a gigantic hand appeared in the void before the young man. The gigantic hand expanded in an instant, blocking out the entire void of the world. In front of everyone's dumbfounded gazes, the indestructible 6 paths of reincarnation vortex was actually slapped into the primal chaos by the palm. Everyone couldn't believe it. The Supremes were dumbfounded. Who was this person? He actually slapped the 6 paths of reincarnation into the chaos year. How was this possible? One had to know that even Supremes couldn't have such an ability. Was he an eternal sovereign? It was that simple. The 6 paths of reincarnation vortexes that could devour Supremes actually dissipated into the chaos and disappeared without a trace. A great calamity disappeared just like that. Let's go. The fortune teller wasn't surprised at all. He turned around and took a step forward, instantly disappearing into the void. Fried pancake seller, don't fight with me next time. Let me show off for once. Do you understand? The middle-aged fat butcher waved the bull-slaughtering knife in his hand and also disappeared into the void. These 2 fellows, at this time, the young man who slammed the 6 paths of reincarnation into the chaos descended from the sky and landed beside the basket of baked bread. The handsome young man had turned back into the white-haired old man who was buying baked bread. The old man picked up the load of baked pancakes and left. It was as if the 3 nobodies had never appeared. However, no one knew that this great calamity that could destroy the primogenitor realm had been resolved by an unremarkable old man selling fried pancakes. Even extreme Tao Supremes couldn't sense the existence of these 3 commoners. What's going on? Where's the 6 paths of reincarnation? At this time, the sky brightened, and all the Supremes felt as if they had just survived a disaster. It seems that a young man saved us. A super old man among the Supremes said with a trembling voice. What? All the Supremes were indescribably shocked. Where are the 9 primogenitor fiends? I'm going to tear them to pieces. Someone roared. Those 9 bastards actually summoned such a demon. Truly despicable to the extreme. All of the honorable martial artists were enraged. The 9 primogenitor fiends immediately fled when they saw that the situation was bad. Where do you think you're going? We'll chase them to the ends of the cosmos and kill them. Under the leadership of the Supremes, countless Supremes launched an earth-shattering hunt for the 9 primogenitor fiends. Countless Supremes gathered together. Such a force made even the 9 primogenitor fiends' scalps go numb. They didn't dare to contend against it at all. While the 9 primogenitor fiends were being chased by countless Supremes, Jiu Fei fell into reincarnation. This was the true reincarnation, not the divine ability of the first primogenitor fiend. The first primogenitor fiend was quite ruthless. He used his life to initiate reincarnation and used his supreme eternal devil power to seal Jiu Fei's memories. Grandpa, what's that? In the Great Origin Realm, on the outskirts of the Divine Dragon mountain range, a plain-clothed old man was walking along the mountain path with a young boy when a blinding light appeared in the sky ahead. The light fell like a meteor, directly piercing through the clouds and smashing into the mountain range. Boom! A loud explosion shook the entire mountain range. Countless birds and beasts fled in all directions in fright, and a cloud of dust rose up from the mountain range. The grandfather and grandson duo on the mountain path were stunned by this scene. Let's go take a look. The old man directly picked up his grandson and rushed forward like a shooting star. Every step he took covered a distance of over 100 feet. As he ran on the rugged mountain path, he was actually much faster than a horse. The old man's body emitted a powerful aura. He was actually a warrior. Although his cultivation wasn't very high, he was close to the Grandmaster realm. Chapter 3982. The Divine Dragon Mountain Range was a mountain range in the eastern part of the Tai Yuan realm. On this day, divine light fell from the Divine Dragon Mountain Range, alarming countless warriors. The Divine Dragon Mountain Range suddenly became lively. 3 days after the divine light fell, in a human tribe on the outskirts of the Divine Dragon Mountain Range, a 15 or 16-year-old boy lay in a simple thatched cottage. The boy lay on the bed, his body covered in bandages, and the room was filled with a strong smell of medicine. This boy had been rescued from the Divine Dragon Mountain Range by the grandfather and grandson of the tribe 3 days ago. He had been in a coma and had yet to wake up. In the eyes of the grandfather and grandson, this boy was a god who had descended from the heavens. Of course, this secret was only known to the grandfather and grandson. This young man was Jiyu Fei, who had fallen into the cycle of reincarnation after the first demon ancestor used his life to open it. After all, Jiyu Fei was in the eternal realm. Although he had fallen into the cycle of reincarnation, he had not experienced reincarnation. He had only returned to his youth. The first demon ancestor had not only forced Jiyu Fei into the cycle of reincarnation, but also sealed his memories. Just then, Jiyu Fei, who had been lying on the bed for 3 days, suddenly opened his eyes. "Where am I? Who am I?" Jiyu Fei sat up on the bed and looked around blankly. "Ah, Grandpa, he's awake, he's awake." At this moment, there was a sudden exclamation from the door. Then, a little boy shouted, turned, and ran out. Soon, there was the sound of footsteps. A white-haired old man and the little boy walked in from outside the house. The grandfather and grandson looked at Jiyu Fei, who was sitting on the bed, in shock. The scene from 3 days ago was something that the grandfather and grandson would never be able to forget. On that day, a divine light descended from the heavens and landed on the Divine Dragon Mountain Range. When the grandfather and grandson arrived at the place where the divine light had landed, what they saw was a huge pit. Within the pit lay a naked youth covered in wounds. "Who am I, and who are you?" Jiyu Fei looked at the grandfather and grandson blankly. You don't know who you are?" the old man asked in shock. Jiyu Fei shook his head. The old man was inexplicably shocked. There had been legends of martial immortals in the Tai Yuan realm since ancient times. The Tai Yuan realm was a world of martial artists. Countless martial artists cultivated hard in order to break through the void and become martial immortals. From the perspective of the old man, a deity descending from the heavens must be a martial immortal who suffered a calamity and fell from the immortal martial realm to the reverse dimension. However, this young man actually forgot who he was. Could it be that he injured his head and lost his memory? "Just rest here and recuperate. We'll talk about it after you've recovered." After saying that, the old man left with his grandson and closed the door. Not long after, the little boy stuck his head out of the door and looked around. Finally, he nervously opened the door and walked in. "Big brother, did you come from the sky?" The little boy was only 6 or 7 years old. He had white teeth and red lips. His big black eyes shone brightly, and he looked very intelligent. "In the sky?" Jiyu Fei looked at the little boy in confusion. "Grandpa said that you're a god who descended from the heavens," the little boy said seriously. "Really?" Jiyu Fei was still at a loss. "Where's your grandpa?" Jiyu Fei asked after thinking for a while. "Grandpa went to pick herbs. He's the miracle doctor of our 10 Li-8 villages," the little boy said proudly. From his conversation with the little boy, Jiyu Fei learned that he was in the Wu village of the 10 Li-8 villages. The whole village had the surname Wu. The little boy's name was Wu Ji. The little boy's grandfather, who was also the miracle doctor of the 10 Li-8 villages, was called Medicine Master Wu. He was a martial artist who practiced both medicine and martial arts. There were countless human villages and tribes in the Divine Dragon Mountain Range. The country that ruled the entire Divine Dragon Mountain Range was the Divine Dragon Country. The Divine Dragon Country was just a vassal state. In the eastern region of the Tai Yuan realm, there were more than a dozen vassal states of various sizes. Above the vassal states was the Dongwu dynasty. In addition to the Dongwu dynasty, there were 2 other major forces in the eastern region that could compete with the Dongwu dynasty. They were the Martial God Hall and the Demon Martial Sect. Although the Martial God Hall and the Demonic Martial Sect did not establish their own countries, Their strength was not weaker than the Dongwu dynasties. Within their sphere of influence, the vassal states could ignore the Dongwu dynasty's orders. The Divine Dragon Mountain Range was within the sphere of influence of the Dongwu dynasty. The king of the Divine Dragon country was a member of the royal family of the Dongwu dynasty. The surname of the Dongwu royal family was Juzian, and the king of the Divine Dragon country was a martial artist of the true realm. The martial arts realms in the Tai Yuan realm could be divided into the mortal realm, the Grandmaster, the innate realm, the true realm, the sage realm, and the god realm. The god realm was the strongest. It was said that above the god realm was the immortal realm, the realm where martial arts broke through the void. Since ancient times, it seemed that no one in the entire Tai Yuan realm had been able to cultivate to the immortal realm. From the little boy, Wu Ji, Ji Yufei learned that his grandfather, Medicine Master Wu, was the most powerful martial artist in the Tenli 8 villages and was a martial arts grandmaster. As long as a martial artist broke through the 10th stage of the mortal realm, he could become a grandmaster. Although the little boy was only 6 or 7 years old, he was already a martial artist at the 5th stage of the mortal realm. This was the martial arts realm that ordinary adults could not reach. This was also because the little boy's muscles and bones were good. From the moment he was born, his grandfather, Medicine Master Wu, used medicinal herbs to train his muscles and bones and opened up his meridians. How could ordinary people receive such treatment? Ji Yufei just listened quietly and said a few words from time to time. He seemed indifferent to these things, as if they were nothing in front of him. However, he could not remember anything. His mind was like a blank sheet of paper, and he did not know anything. If it had been anyone else who had experienced such a big change, they would have been unable to sit still. However, he was calm from beginning to end, as if he did not have to worry about anything at all. After chatting with him for more than an hour, the little boy, Wu Ji, slipped out. Ji Yufei lay on the bed and looked at the ceiling. He was really bored. He was seriously injured and his hands and feet were broken, but he recovered very quickly. In just 3 days, his flesh and bones had already grown back, and he could already walk. He sat up, then tore off the bandages on his body, got off the bed, and pushed the door open. It was already dusk outside, and people who had gone out began to return. The Wu village was very big, and the radius of several miles was the Wu village. There was a deep trench outside the village, and a high wall surrounded the entire Wu village. The stone wall was about 15 feet high. The Wu village had stone walls and trenches, so naturally, it was used to defend against enemies. In the Divine Dragon Mountain Range, the enemies of the human clan were the countless birds and beasts in the mountain range. Hey, isn't that the boy that Medicine Master saved? You're able to walk so quickly. Medicine Master's medical skills are really brilliant. When he was saved, this little guy was almost on the verge of death, right? Hee, who is Medicine Master? He is our Wu village's miracle doctor. Of course, he healed his injuries with medicine. Everyone in the Wu village respected Medicine Master Wu very much. Medicine Master Wu, get out here. At this moment, a loud shout suddenly came from the village entrance. What? Chapter 3983. Medicine Master Wu, come out now. An angry roar came from the entrance of the Wu village. Everyone in the Wu village was infuriated when they heard the voice. Who has the guts to be so disrespectful to Master Medicine Master? The Wu village was in an uproar. The martial artists of the Wu village even picked up their weapons and rushed to the entrance. At this time, Ji Yufei sensed the presence of more than 10 martial artists at the entrance of the Wu village. 3 of them seemed to be on par with Medicine Master Wu. He walked to the entrance of the village. When he arrived at the entrance, there were already hundreds of martial artists of the Wu village. In front of the entrance of the Wu village was a trench. The drawbridge had been pulled up, and the trench was filled with razor-sharp iron spears. If someone were to fall in, they would definitely be pierced. Opposite the entrance of the village was a group of men in black. Each of them was armed, and the 3 leaders had a stern demeanor. They looked like experts. These people are here again. Grandpa hasn't returned from picking herbs. What should we do? The little boy, Wu Ji, said anxiously. People of the Chu clan, we don't welcome you in the Wu village. Please leave. An old man with a walking stick walked out from the crowd and stood at the entrance of the village. He said to the group of people opposite him. The old man had white hair and a ruddy complexion. He was not hunched, and his eyes were clear. He was full of energy and in high spirits. Although he was old, no one dared to look down on him. Second granduncle, why are you being so polite to these guys? Just ask them to get lost. A tall martial artist of the Wu village said. The people of the Chu clan are too much. How dare they disrespect Master Medicine Master? Asking them to get lost is already good enough. Another person said. You're courting death. The eyes of the black-robed old man, who was leading the group, suddenly turned extremely sharp. A powerful aura erupted from his body, suppressing everyone to the point where they could hardly breathe. Chu Xiong, our Master Medicine Master isn't here. Even if he was, he wouldn't see you, let alone treat your foppish young master. Another elder of the Wu village walked out and said in a deep voice. Is that so? Then don't blame us for being ruthless. The black-clothed elder called Chu Xiong said with a gloomy face. We've visited the thatched cottage 3 times, and this time, the patriarch is going all out to get Medicine Master Wu back at all costs. The other black-robed old man said coldly. Especially when he said the word please, his tone suddenly became a lot more serious. Although the Chu clan is a large clan in the Divine Dragon Country, our Wu village is not to be trifled with. The second grand-uncle of the Wu village said coldly as he slammed the walking stick in his hand. Very well, then let's slaughter the entire Wu village and capture Medicine Master Wu and his grandson. I don't believe that Medicine Master Wu won't treat my young master. A black-robed old man with snake-like eyes said with a hideous grin. How dare you? The second granduncle of Wu village was furious. Hee, why wouldn't we dare? Go, kill them. Chu Xiong ordered the martial artists behind him. The warriors behind him immediately dispersed, and then directly jumped over the trench, killing the group of warriors gathered at the village entrance. All of a sudden, blade lights flashed, and sword chi crisscrossed. The warriors of the martial village and the warriors of the Chu clan were engaged in a fierce battle. Damn it! The second granduncle waved his walking stick and knocked a black-robed warrior into the trench. The black-robed warrior was instantly pierced by the iron spear in the trench, and died tragically inside. Just as the second granduncle sent the Chu clan's warriors flying, Chu Xiong arrived. With just a palm, Chu Xiong sent the second granduncle flying, crashing into the Wu village. Grandmaster, he is a grandmaster, the warriors of the Wu village exclaimed. At this moment, another old man leaped up from the ground, and like a black eagle, he pounced on the crowd. With a flurry of his hands, the warriors of the Wu village fell to the ground one after another, screaming in pain. Another grandmaster. The warriors of the Wu village were in despair. With 2 grandmasters attacking, such a force was enough to flatten the entire Wu village. Moreover, there was still an old man standing quietly outside, and he had yet to make a move. Chu Xiong and Chu Ying attacked, and with their strength, they fought against nearly 100 warriors of the Wu village. The warriors of the Wu village kept retreating, and they were extremely powerful. The Wu village only has one apothecary Wu, who is a big shot. The others are like clay chickens and pottery dogs, unable to withstand a single blow. Chu Xiong looked disdainful. The warriors of the Wu village were both shocked and angry. At this moment, Chu Ying charged at the little boy, Wu Ji, and no one could resist him. Protect Wu Ji! The warriors of the Wu village roared, and they attacked Chu Ying without any regard for their lives. However, the gap between the two was too big, and it was a completely one-sided situation. Run! Ji Yufei protected Wu Ji and fled to the village. Where do you think you are going? Chu Ying directly leaped from the ground, and instantly pounced on Wu Ji. Then, he reached out his right hand to grab Wu Ji. At the moment when Wu Ji was about to be grabbed by the old man, a hand suddenly reached out from the side and grabbed the old man's hand. What? Chu Ying's shock was no small matter. In fact, he had already noticed the young man beside Wu Ji, but he did not expect that this young man was actually a hidden expert. Big brother, your injury is not healed yet. The little boy, Wu Ji, hurriedly shouted. Don't worry. Ji Yufei smiled faintly, and in the next moment, he exerted force, and with a crack, he broke Chu Ying's right hand. Raw. Chu Ying screamed and staggered back. He did not expect that he would die here. At this moment, Ji Yufei was looking at his own hand. Just now, Wu Ji was in danger, and he subconsciously grabbed it. It was as if he had practiced it thousands of times, and it was incomparably familiar. It was as if he was born with the martial Dao. Why did he have such a feeling? Ji Yufei was baffled. He did not know that he was the supreme eternal honorable who was undefeatable in the heavens and realms. Big brother, Wu Ji stared at Ji Yufei with his eyes wide open, as if he was looking at a monster. Big brother, be careful. At this moment, Chu Ying had already kicked Ji Yufei's chest with a heart-piercing kick. Because Ji Yufei was in a daze, he did not dodge. When he regained his senses, he wanted to dodge, but the other party's kick had already landed on his chest. Bam! Crack! Then, everyone looked at this scene with their mouths agape. They saw Ji Yufei standing in front of Wu Ji, and the guy who kicked Ji Yufei was repelled by a huge force. His leg was broken, and he fell directly towards the ditch at the entrance of the village. At this moment, a black shadow rushed over and caught the unlucky Chu Ying. Then, he gently landed on the ground. How is this possible? Even the Chu family's martial artists were stunned. The one who was kicked was fine, but the one who kicked was seriously injured. Chapter 3984. The Chu clan was a large clan in the eastern region of the Taiyuan domain, located in the Divine Dragon Mountain Range. Even in the Divine Dragon country, it was a second-rate clan, if not a first-rate clan. The treasured son of the Chu clan's clan master was poisoned by a strange poison. The Chu clan invited many famous doctors, but none of them could cure him. The Chu clan's clan master heard that there was a grandmaster divine doctor who cultivated both medicine and martial arts in Wu village, so he sent someone to invite him. However, the Chu clan's precious son was not a kind person, and medicine master Wu did not want to cure him, so he rejected the Chu clan's invitation. However, the Chu clan did not give up. This was already the third time they invited medicine master Wu. Moreover, the Chu clan sent 3 grandmasters this time. Obviously, if medicine master Wu did not know what was good for him, they would use force to solve the problem. Among the surrounding villages, only the Wu village had a grandmaster like medicine master Wu. Martial arts grandmasters were very rare for the people of the surrounding villages. However, in the capital of the Divine Dragon country, Dragon Capital, there were many grandmasters. Even the Chu clan could send 3 grandmasters at once, not to mention the other first-rate clans, or even the top clans. The first-rate clans of the Divine Dragon country even had Xiantian warriors, or even true state warriors, who were stronger than Xiantian warriors. Compared to Xiantian warriors, grandmasters could not even block a finger of a Xiantian warrior. As for the Chu family, no one knew if they had a Xiantian realm martial artist. As for grandmaster-level martial artists, the Chu family had more than 3. Go back to where you came from. Ji Yufei stood at the entrance of Wu village and indifferently glanced at the group of Chu clan members. The 3 grandmasters of the Chu clan were furious. What? Why are you still here? Do you want me to ask you to leave? Ji Yufei's tone was calm. However, the 3 grandmasters of the Chu clan were shocked and angry. This person could break Chu Ying's right leg without batting an eyelid, so his cultivation was definitely not weak. Little guy, since you want to die, then don't blame us. The martial arts expert who was holding Chu Ying suddenly spoke. He handed Chu Ying to Chu Xiong, who was beside him. Boom. Immediately after, a powerful wave of energy rippled out from the body of this expert from the Chu clan. The surrounding people were forced to retreat continuously. Boss, when Chu Xiong saw that his boss actually wanted to make a move on the little guy in front of him, he couldn't help but be shocked. The little guy in front of him was able to take a kick from Chu Ying without any injury, and instead broke Chu Ying's right leg. Even boss might not be a match for this kind of combat power. The leader of the Chu clan's 3 grandmasters who came this time was the mid-ranked martial sage Chu Tianlong. His berserk dragon energy was incomparably tyrannical. He was also a famous expert in this 3,000-kilometer Divine Dragon Mountain range. How can I, Chu Tianlong, retreat without a fight. Chu Tianlong stared at Ji Yufei as he spoke with a grave expression. Chu Xiong still wanted to say something, but in the end, he didn't say anything. He knew his big brother's character very well, so he didn't say anything more. Big brother, be careful. Although Chu Ying's leg had been broken by Ji Yufei, he was still a guru after all. He did not faint from the pain and still clenched his teeth and held on. Chu Tianlong nodded. Big brother, the little boy, Wu Ji, looked at Ji Yufei worriedly. At this time, the martial artists of the Wu village had already retreated into the village, leaving only Ji Yufei and Wu Ji at the village entrance. Wu Ji, come back quickly. Second great uncle shouted anxiously. Wu Ji was Medicine Master Wu's grandson. If anything happened to Wu Ji, they wouldn't be able to answer to Medicine Master Wu. No, I want to stay with Big Brother, Wu Ji said as he grabbed Ji Yufei's hand. Go, bring Wu Ji back for me. The second great uncle said to the two martial artists of the Wu village beside him. Yes, second great uncle. The two martial artists hurriedly walked up. Go back with them, I'll be fine. Ji Yufei said as he smiled at Wu Ji. The mind of a child was like a blank piece of paper, not as scrupulous as an adult. I won't. Wu Ji refused. Little Wu Ji, be good. Stay here, stay here. This will distract your big brother. At this time, the two martial artists had already arrived in front of Ji Yufei. One of them said as he went to carry Wu Ji. Really? Wu Ji said as he looked at Ji Yufei. Yes. Ji Yufei nodded. Wu Ji then let go of Ji Yufei and let the two martial artists from the Wu village carry him back. I told you to get lost, but you didn't want to. Then leave your lives here. Ji Yufei said coldly as he glanced at the group of people from the Chu clan. Me. Little brat, don't be presumptuous. Chu Xiong shouted angrily. Kill. At this moment, Chu Tianlong let out a furious roar. With a ferocious push of his feet against the ground immediately caved in. At the same time, his entire body soared into the sky, pouncing towards Ji Yufei like a dragon. At this time, Ji Yufei had no idea that his memories had been sealed by the first demon ancestor at the cost of his life. However, his battle instincts were still there. As Chu Tianlong pounced towards him, Chu Tianlong's every move was clearly seen by him. Just as Chu Tianlong's raging dragon fist was about to hit Ji Yufei moved his feet and dodged the violent blow. Then, Ji Yufei reached out his right hand and grabbed Chu Tianlong's neck. With a forceful shake, Chu Tianlong's entire spine let out a series of bone-cracking sounds. The moment Ji Yufei loosened his grip, Chu Tianlong collapsed to the ground like a pile of mud, directly losing his life. Seeing this scene, Chu Xiong and the others were scared out of their wits, especially the warriors they had brought along. They were so scared that their legs turned to jelly. That was a mid-level evolved Jing master. His cultivation was incomparably powerful, and he was a famous existence in the Divine Dragon Mountain range. Who would have thought that such a person would not even be able to withstand a single move from his opponent before dying? Who was this guy? Could he be a true realm warrior who was even stronger than Xiantian? Run! Chu Xiong directly carried Chu Ying and turned around to escape. The other martial artists also scattered in confusion, only caring about running for their lives. I told you, you can't escape. As he spoke, Ji Yufei stomped on the ground with his right foot. Bang! With a muffled sound, the ground cracked. At the same time, Chu Tianlong's body rushed forward. He only needed 2 steps to catch up with Chu Xiong. With a single punch, he killed both of them on the spot. The 3 Grand Masters of the Chu clan were killed by Ji Yufei so easily. All the martial artists in the Wu village were speechless after witnessing this scene. After killing the 3 Grandmasters of the Chu clan, Ji Yufei began to hunt down the Chu clan warriors who had fled in all directions. Chapter 3985. What? Chu Tianlong and the rest are all dead. The Chu family was infuriated. A roar came from the Chu family's ancestral ground. I'm going to destroy the Wu village. Chu Tianshu, the family leader of the Chu family, bellowed. Soon, the experts of the Chu family gathered. On the square of the Chu family's ancestral ground, dozens of martial artists stood there quietly. A murderous aura shrouded the entire Chu family. I don't believe that a small Wu village can go against nature, unless they have an inborn expert, Chu Tianshu said coldly, looking at the dozens of martial artists in front of him. Among the dozens of martial artists, there were 5 grandmasters. Including the family leader, Chu Tianshu, there was a total of 6 grandmasters. Chu Tianshu was an accomplished grandmaster. The difference between an accomplished grandmaster and an intermediate grandmaster was that an accomplished grandmaster could kill an intermediate grandmaster with one hand. 6 grandmasters, 13 half-step to grandmaster, and 50 peak mortal realm martial artists. Such a force was enough to wipe out an ordinary second-rate family. A small place like the Wu village could be destroyed easily. Let's go. Chu Tianshu led dozens of martial artists out of the square. They rode on the prepared horses and galloped out of the Chu family, attracting the attention of the people outside. What is the Chu family doing? Someone said in a low voice. How would I know? Could it be? Another martial artist outside the Chu family suddenly thought of something. I heard that the playboy of the Chu family was poisoned. Is the Chu family going to take revenge? Someone guessed. The Chu family was a little far from the Wu village. 4 hours later, the sound of hooves could be heard. The martial artists in the Wu village were alarmed immediately. At this time, the gate of the village was closed. There were martial artists on the city wall with their bows and arrows. Soon, the road ahead was filled with billowing smoke. Dozens of horses galloped over, giving off a feeling that there were thousands of soldiers and horses. This shocked the martial artists in the Wu village. Kill! Chu Tianshu roared and leaped from the back of the horse. He leaped over the tall city wall easily and landed in the village. What? Seeing this, the martial artists in the Wu village were scared out of their wits. Chu Tianshu waved his hands, and immediately, a few warriors from the Wu village flew out. Before they landed on the ground, they had already died. The deaths of Chu Tianlong and the others had thoroughly enraged Chu Tianshu. After all, Chu Tianlong was his younger brother. Chu Tianshu was like a tiger that had entered a flock of sheep. He killed or injured the warriors of the martial village. No one could withstand a single move from him. He was extremely powerful. Chu Tianshu killed his way to the tightly shut door of the village and then fiercely smashed his fist against it. In the next moment, wood splinters flew, and the entire heavy door was blasted apart by Chu Tianshu's fist. Kill! Dozens of experts rushed in from the outside. These people killed anyone they saw. In an instant, the Wu village became hell. Stop! The battle soon alerted Ji Yufei. He immediately rushed out, and when he saw this scene, his eyes turned red. Kill! Flatten the Wu village! The warriors of the Chu family kept shouting. Flatten the martial village! Hearing this, Ji Yufei's pupils immediately shrank. If that's the case, then don't blame me for being ruthless. Ji Yufei was furious. At this moment, a warrior of the Chu family slashed at Ji Yufei's neck with his saber. Ji Yufei stretched out his right hand and directly grabbed the saber that the warrior of the Chu family slashed at him. He completely ignored the sharp blade, which could not even cut through his skin. Clang! Ji Yufei exerted force in his hand and immediately broke the saber. Then, he backhanded the broken half of the saber in his hand and stabbed it into the chest of a warrior of the Chu family. Did you kill Chu Tianlong and the others? The master of the Chu family, Chu Tianshu, stared at Ji Yufei and said, gritting his teeth. So what if I did? Ji Yufei completely calmed down. Go to hell! Chu Tianshu roared angrily. He directly jumped up and pounced at Ji Yufei, displaying the power of a great achievement grandmaster. However, Ji Yufei only punched and then Chu Tianshu was sent flying. Everyone who saw this scene was inexplicably shocked. How is this possible? The warriors of the Chu clan were shocked when they saw this. That was their clan lord. Was he going to die? Who are you? Chu Tianshu's voice trembled as he spoke. He coughed up blood with each sentence he spoke. At this moment, everyone stopped. The warriors of the Chu family all rushed toward their master and protected Chu Tianshu. The warriors of the martial village swarmed from all directions and surrounded the group of people of the Chu family. Who am I? Ji Yufei pondered for a moment. He could not think of anything at all. Retreat, Chu Tianshu directly ordered. Since you're here, there's no need to leave. With his hands behind his back, Ji Yufei walked step by step toward Chu Tianshu. Swoosh! A warrior of the Chu family attacked Ji Yufei. Ji Yufei did not dodge at all. He just waved his hand and the warrior of the Chu family was directly sent flying. He did not care about anything at all. Since when did the martial village have such a ruthless character? At this moment, Chu Tianshu was a little regretful. He thought his strength was enough to trample the martial village. No one expected Ji Yufei to be so powerful. Ji Yufei killed with every step he took. The warriors of the Chu family were no match for him at all. They were directly smashed to death. Damn it! The 5 great masters were shocked and angry. They had to join forces. Boom! Bam! The 5 great masters and Ji Yufei fought fiercely. The violent power spread outward. Sand and stones were suddenly flying around, and the sun and moon were dim. Humph! Ji Yufei stood with his hands behind his back, letting the 5 great masters attack him. He was like a huge mountain, and no one could move him. Roar! Ji Yufei roared to the sky. The 5 great masters were immediately sent flying by the force that erupted from his body. Could he be an inborn expert? How is this possible? Seeing this, the warriors of the Chu family were in despair. The warriors of the martial village were surprised and overjoyed. It's my turn. As Ji Yufei spoke, he dashed forward and knocked the closest great master away. A series of bone-cracking sounds came from the body of the great master. With just a knock, a great master was killed. This made the other great masters feel bitterly disappointed. After knocking a great master to death, Ji Yufei clenched his right fist and threw another great master away. He crashed into a house and died instantly. Ji Yufei made his move. Very quickly, the remaining 3 grandmasters were all killed by him. Then, he grabbed Chu Tianshu's collar and lifted him up. What great master! I can kill you like killing a chicken. Don't kill me. Chu Tianshu was scared out of his wits. At this moment, he was no longer the master of the Chu family who gave orders. Chapter 3986. Ji Yufei actually broke Chu Tianshu's neck with one hand. The dignified Chu clan's clan leader, an upper realm grandmaster, actually died in the Wu village just like that. The Chu clan's warriors were all stunned when they saw this scene. Ji Yufei did not show any mercy. After killing Chu Tianshu, he rushed into the Chu clan's warriors like a tiger in a flock of sheep, punching and kicking them. The warriors of the Chu family were sent flying like rags. They were already dead when they were still in the air. No one could block a single blow from Ji Yufei. Ji Yufei could sweep the Chu clan's warriors with just the strength of his physical body. The martial artists from the Wu village who were present were stunned. They never expected that the severely injured young man that Medicine Master Wu had saved would be so powerful. That was the Chu clan, a second-rate clan in the Divine Dragon Nation, but it was as easy as flipping their hand to destroy the Tenli 8 villages. Even Medicine Master Wu could not stop them. If it were not for Ji Yufei, Chu Tianshu alone could destroy the entire Tenli 8 villages, not to mention the 5 grandmasters and other warriors that Chu Tianshu brought with him. However, no one expected that the insufferably arrogant Chu Tianshu would actually die in a small place like the Wu village. Not only Chu Tianshu, but all the warriors that Chu Tianshu brought with him were also killed by Ji Yufei's fists. No one could block a single punch from Ji Yufei. The news of the Chu clan's annihilation quickly spread to the Tenli 8 villages and then to Chu City, where the Chu clan was located. Chu City was the Chu clan's base camp. The Chu clan had been operating here for hundreds of years. The Chu clan's power here was deeply rooted. With Chu City as the center, the area within a 500-mile radius was the Chu clan's territory. The Tenli 8 villages were all within the Chu clan's sphere of influence. Otherwise, the Chu clan's clan leader would not have been able to reach the Wu village in just 4 hours. When the news reached Chu City, all the warriors in the city were dumbfounded. Everyone could not believe it. How was this possible? In the eyes of the warriors of Chu City, Chu Tianshu personally going to destroy the martial village was like using a sledgehammer to kill a chicken. It was making a big fuss out of nothing. However, the Chu clan's warriors that Chu Tianshu led were completely annihilated. Could it be that Medicine Master Wu broke through to the Xiantian realm? That's impossible. After the cultivators of Chu City recovered from their momentary shock, some forces began to stir. With Chu Tianshu overseeing Chu City, all the major powers in the city had to bow their heads. Now that Chu Tianshu was dead, the atmosphere in Chu City had changed. Ji Yufei didn't care about that. When Medicine Master Wu returned and saw the scene, he was dumbfounded. Especially when he saw Chu Tianshu's corpse, he almost jumped up from the ground. It was hard to imagine that he would see such an unbelievable scene when he returned from picking herbs. Chu Tianshu, that piece of trash, actually died in the hands of a kid who's still wet behind his ears. He's really too useless. In another region of the Divine Dragon Mountain Range, the clan leader of another large clan said disdainfully, "Father, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity." In the main hall of the Lu clan's ancestral land, a middle-aged man was speaking respectfully to the old man on the throne. The Lu clan was a large clan that was right next to the Chu clan. The two clans had always been in conflict. The Lu clan's clan leader had even almost attacked the Chu city. However, he still couldn't break through the city in the end, so the Lu clan's army could only retreat. This time, the news of Chu Tianshu's death reached the Lu clan's Lu city. Although the Lu clan was shocked, they were also very excited. Soon, the Lu clan began to move. Countless warriors gathered in Lu city. In just half a day, the Lu clan had gathered an army made up entirely of warriors from the ancestral city. 3,000 warriors with fluttering banners were a force that could easily destroy an entire city. Speed was crucial in war. The Lu clan's clan leader, Lu Chengfeng, personally led 3,000 warriors to attack the Chu city. When the news spread, the entire region was shaken. Countless warriors in the Chu city fled for their lives. Chu Tianshu was dead, so who else in the Chu city could contend against Lu Chengfeng and his 3,000 warriors? Even before Lu Chengfeng and his 3,000 warriors arrived, the Chu city was already in chaos. No one stepped forward, or to be more precise, no one dared to. In front of the Lu clan's army, no one in the Chu clan's territory could contend against such a force. If Chu Tianshu hadn't died, they might have been able to contend against the Lu clan's army. But now, if the Lu clan wanted to annex the Chu clan's territory, it would be as easy as flipping their hand. Lu Chengfeng led the 3,000 warriors into the Chu clan's territory with irresistible force. Everywhere they passed, the other forces surrendered. However, just when everyone thought that the Chu clan was done for, Lu Chengfeng and the 3,000 warriors stopped. The 10-mile 8 villages lay between the Lu clan's army and the Chu city. If Lu Chengfeng wanted to attack the Chu city, he would have to pass through the 10-mile 8 villages. If he took a detour, he would have to waste at least 10 days. Lu Chengfeng didn't want to take a detour, so he directly led his army into the 10-mile 8 villages. In the beginning, those villages couldn't stop Lu Chengfeng and his 3,000 warriors at all. They were all breached, and there were countless casualties. Haha! I thought there was a real dragon in this small place, but it turns out that he couldn't even withstand a single blow. I heard that Chu Tianshu died here. Did he kill himself by hitting his head against a wall? How could there be a real dragon in this small place? Today, I want to see what kind of extraordinary abilities that Medicine Master Wu has. The Lu clan's warriors that Lu Chengfeng brought with him all spoke. They were arrogant and looked down on everyone, as if they didn't care about anyone in the world. What's going on? Why are there so many people from the neighboring villages in our village? At this time, there were suddenly many people from other villages in the Wu village, which made the little boy Wu Ji feel strange. Da Nyo, why are you here? Are you here to visit your grandmother? Wu Ji grabbed a tanned boy who was a little older than him and asked. The 10-mile 8 villages intermarried. This Da Nyo was actually from the neighboring Ox village. His father married a woman from the Wu village, and that woman was Da Nyo's mother. Don't you know? The Lu clan is here, and they have already conquered a few villages. The people in our village who could escape have already escaped. Dianyo said. What? Wu Ji was shocked when he heard this. At this time, a war drum suddenly sounded outside the village entrance. No, I have to go find Big Brother. Wu Ji quickly turned around and rushed to the short mountain behind the village. Behind the Wu village, there was a short mountain with some sparse trees growing on it. At the foot of the mountain, there were many big rocks, and Ji Yufei was sitting on one of them. Big Brother, bad news. Wu Ji rolled and crawled to the bottom of the big rock. Ji Yufei opened his eyes, and his mind was still blank. He didn't know who he was, and he didn't know why his body was so strong. Even those high and mighty martial Dao masters were no match for him. Why are you panicking? Ji Yufei said lightly. What happened? Ji Yufei was expressionless, as if everything in the world had nothing to do with him. The people from the Lu clan are killing outside our village. Wu Ji hurriedly said while panting heavily. Lu clan? What's that? Ji Yufei said, confused. Medicine Master Wu, come out and die. At this time, an angry roar was heard from outside the Wu village. Those be asterisk stars. Wu Ji was enraged when he heard the voice. Humph. A cold laugh came from the Wu village, and a figure walked out from the Wu village. That person was the master of the Wu village, Medicine Master Wu. Big Brother, let's go and have a look. Wu Ji said anxiously. Ji Yufei glanced at Wu Ji, then jumped down from the big rock. He held Wu Ji's hand and walked to the entrance of the village. When they arrived at the entrance, the martial artists of the Wu village made way for them. At this time, Medicine Master Wu was fighting a black-bearded old man. The black-bearded old man was wielding a pair of meteor hammers in his hands, causing a strong gust of wind to blow up sand and pebbles. It was a majestic sight. On the other hand, Medicine Master Wu was fighting the black-bearded old man. He took strange steps, and the pair of meteor hammers in the black-bearded old man's hands could not even touch the corner of his clothes. Third brother, come back. A tall, skinny old man opposite the entrance of the village suddenly said. At this time, even ordinary martial artists could tell that the black-bearded old man was no match for Medicine Master Wu, let alone a grandmaster. Once the black-bearded old man was exhausted, Medicine Master Wu would counterattack. Roar. The black-bearded old man suddenly let out an angry roar, and the meteor hammers in his hands rained down on Medicine Master Wu like raindrops, forcing Medicine Master Wu to dodge. The black-bearded old man took the opportunity to retreat. Humph. You live up to your reputation as a Grandmaster Miracle Doctor, but you're doomed today. The tall, skinny old man stared at Medicine Master Wu and walked out with a cold smile. Behind this group of people was a chariot, and on the chariot stood a tall, majestic-looking old man who looked like a ferocious lion. He was Lu Chengfeng, the current head of the Lu clan. The Divine Dragon mountain range was occupied by a few cultivation clans. The Chu clan and the Lu clan were two of the strongest cultivation clans, and they were sworn enemies. At this time, Lu Chengfeng was in high spirits. He wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to swallow up the Chu clan's territory, and his territory would double. At that time, the Lu clan would no longer be a second-rate force in the Divine Dragon country, but a first-rate force. Before that, he had to flatten the surrounding villages, then point his sword at Chu City. Only after taking down Chu City would the Chu clan's territory fall into the Lu clan's hands. Lu Chengyun. Medicine Master Wu looked at the tall, skinny old man with a serious expression. There were 3 brothers in the Lu clan. Lu Chengfeng was the eldest and the current head of the Lu clan. Lu Chengyun was the second brother, and the black-bearded old man with the meteor hammers was the third brother, Lu Chenglong. Lu Chengyun had a stern aura. Although he was tall, skinny, and his face was sallow, as if he had just recovered from a serious illness, he was the strongest in the Lu clan, second only to Lu Chengfeng. Chapter 3987. When the Chu clan experienced a great change, the clan lord of the Lu clan, Lu Chengfeng, took the opportunity to gather experts and led 3,000 soldiers to attack the Chu clan. When the news of the Lu clan's invasion spread, the entire Chu city was in an uproar. Countless people immediately packed up their belongings and fled. In the Battle of Wu village in the 10-mile 8 villages, even the patriarch of the Chu clan died in battle. All the experts of the Chu clan were killed by Ji Yufei. Even if there were still a few clan elders in the Chu clan to manage the situation, how could they contend against the Lu clan? The elders of the Chu clan were all old, but the three brothers, Lu Chengfeng, Lu Chengyun and Lu Chenglong, were all master-level experts. Especially Lu Chengfeng, who was at the peak of the master level. Even if Chu Tianshu, the clan lord of the Chu clan, was not killed by Ji Yufei, he might not be a match for Lu Chengfeng. It's all the fault of that little bastard Chu Xiao. If he didn't rob the Black Fiend School's witch, he wouldn't have been poisoned and Tianshu wouldn't have died in the Wu village. In the Chu clan's rented house in Chu City, 3 elders were sitting at the top while a man was lying on the ground. It was a man whose body was covered in bandages. Even from a distance, one could smell the bloody smell coming from the man on the ground. This man was Chu Tianshu's only precious son, Chu Xiao. The reason why Chu Tianshu named his son Chu Xiao was because he wanted him to become a formidable person in the future. Chu Xiao, the hedonistic son of a rich family, couldn't become a formidable person, but he would become a coward. The strange poison in Chu Xiao's body was rotting, but he couldn't die. He could only watch his body rotting helplessly. How could a hedonistic son of a rich family endure such torture? However, when Chu Tianshu was still alive, Chu Xiao couldn't die even if he wanted to. Now that Chu Tianshu was dead, Chu Xiao's treatment immediately changed. Third brother, his suffering even if he's alive. Send him on his way. The great clan elder who was the leader said indifferently. The 3 elders glanced at the great clan elder, then waved their right hands and punched Chu Xiao's chest. The sound of bones breaking immediately came from Chu Xiao's body. Chu Xiao's sternum was broken and his 5 internal organs were ruptured. Soon, he breathed his last. It is time to gather our clansmen and leave this place. The great clan elder suddenly sighed. This was something that could not be helped. If they did not leave, the Chu clan would face the danger of extinction, and if they left, they would have to find a new place to settle down. At that moment, the Lu family's army stopped at the Wu village. The news that Medicine Master Wu was fighting with the Lu family's warriors had spread far and wide. The entire region was shocked. No one could have imagined that a small Wu village would be hiding a real dragon. In an instant, countless gazes were fixed on the Wu village. At this time, outside the Wu village's entrance, Medicine Master Wu was fighting with Lu Chengyun. Bam! Boom! Muffled sounds of collisions rang out continuously. 2 figures moved quickly in the open space in front of the village entrance. Their strength was vast and mighty, and dust flew everywhere. The 2 great experts were locked in battle. Whether it was Medicine Master Wu or Lu Chengyun, they were both martial Dao grandmasters. Their cultivation base and combat strength were similar, so it was not easy to determine a winner. At that moment, Ji Yufei was dragged out of the Wu village by the little boy, Wu Ji. The other martial artists of the Wu village were hiding at the village entrance and did not come out. There are still people who are not afraid of death who dare to come out. Seeing people coming out, Lu Chengfeng, who was standing on the chariot, was surprised to see Ji Yufei and the little boy Wu Ji. In the entire Wu village, only a little boy and a little boy have some guts. The others are all coward. Lu Chenglong, the old man, said loudly. All the martial artists of the Wu village were angry, but they did not dare to say anything. However, the martial artists of the Wu village were gloating at the Lu family's people. Ji Yufei was an amazing person who had killed Chu Tianshu, but the Lu family did not know about it. The Lu family deserved it. Although the news of Ji Yufei killing Chu Tianshu and the Chu clan's warriors had spread to Lu City, no one would have thought that the skinny young man in front of them was the amazing person who had killed Chu Tianshu. Although Ji Yufei's physical body was extremely strong, he looked like an ordinary person on the outside. The Lu clan's warriors did not take Ji Yufei seriously at all. Even the little boy next to Ji Yufei was stronger than Ji Yufei. If they hadn't seen Ji Yufei kill Chu Tianshu with their own eyes and annihilate the group of Chu clan experts that Chu Tianshu had brought with him, even the martial artists of the Wu village wouldn't have associated Ji Yufei with a martial arts expert. Big brother, help grandpa. The little boy Wu Ji shook Ji Yufei's hand and said. Ha. Lu Chenglong, who was standing opposite him, laughed disdainfully when he heard that. What are you laughing at? My big brother is amazing. Wu Ji said to Lu Chenglong with dissatisfaction. He's amazing. Haha, I'm dying of laughter. I can poke him to death with one finger. Lu Chenglong laughed even more arrogantly. Keep bragging. Wu Ji said angrily. I never brag. Kid, come here and let me poke you to death with one finger, then I'll spare this little boy's life. Lu Chenglong waved at Ji Yufei and said. I'm afraid you won't be able to kill me, Ji Yufei said indifferently. Although he had his memories sealed by the first primogenitor in exchange for his life, he was still innately arrogant. Haha, what if I can't kill you? If I can't kill you, then I'll eat this pair of meteor hammers in my hands. Lu Chenglong sneered. Eat a meteor hammer? That's fun. Big brother, I want to see him eat a meteor hammer. The little boy Wu Ji clapped his hands and said. All right, I'll make him eat a meteor hammer for you to see. As Ji Yufei spoke, he walked forward step by step with his hands behind his back. Everyone in the Wu village was extremely excited when they saw that Ji Yufei was about to make his move. One should know that he was the one who killed the Chu clan's clan leader. Haha. You really have the guts to come here. Lu Chenglong laughed so hard that tears rolled down his cheeks. A mere commoner dared to challenge a grandmaster like him. Even if he wanted to die, he shouldn't do it this way. Haha. The other martial artists from the Lu clan laughed as well. They looked at Ji Yufei, who was walking toward Lu Chenglong as if he was an idiot. Laugh all you want. You'll all be crying soon. The little boy Wu Ji shouted at the martial artists from the Lu clan. However, no one took the words of a little boy seriously. Only Lu Chengfeng, who was standing on the chariot, stared at Ji Yufei with a serious expression. Kid, you're asking for it. I'll send you on your way. At that moment, Ji Yufei had arrived in front of Lu Chenglong. Lu Chenglong grinned and put down the meteor hammer in his right hand. He then pointed at Ji Yufei's forehead. He wanted to kill Ji Yufei with one finger. Lu Chenglong was a martial Dao grandmaster. Killing an ordinary person with one finger was like child's play to him. However, the moment Lu Chenglong's finger poked Ji Yufei's forehead, the smile on his face instantly froze. Then, with a cracking sound, a painful expression appeared on his face. Roar! Lu Chenglong roared and immediately retreated. He saw that Ji Yufei was still standing there with an indifferent look on his face. What? The martial artists from the Lu clan were all dumbfounded when they saw this. Lu Chengfeng's eyes flashed with a bright light. Kid, are you pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger? Lu Chenglong was furious. He saw that his right index finger was broken and the bone was exposed. He was in so much pain that his voice was trembling. Haha, now you know how powerful my big brother is. Before Ji Yufei could say anything, the little wimpy kid, Wu Ji, jumped up in joy. You can't kill big brother. Eat the meteor hammer. Wu Ji's childish voice reached the ears of every martial artist from the Lu clan. Haha, that's right. A grandmaster's words carry weight. Eat the meteor hammer. The meteor hammer is so big. Can he eat it? Haha. He has to eat it even if he can't. Who told him to eat it? The martial artists from the Wu village jeered. Damn it. Lu Chenglong was shocked, angry, and in pain. How could he eat the meteor hammer that was as big as a watermelon? Moreover, the meteor hammer was made of refined steel. Even a grandmaster would not be able to bite it. Haha, the Lu clan's grandmaster's words are like farts. Yeah. So smelly. The martial artists from the Wu village mocked. Shut up, all of you. Lu Chenglong flew into a rage. He made a grabbing motion with his right hand and the meteor hammer on the ground immediately flew into his hand. Although one of his fingers had been broken by Ji Yufei, he could still grab the meteor hammer. This did not have much of an impact on his combat strength. What? You lost the bet. Why don't you eat the meteor hammer in your hand? Do you want me to do it myself? Ji Yufei's tone was still calm, as if he was talking about something that had nothing to do with him. Don't go too far. Lu Chenglong stared at Ji Yufei and said with his teeth clenched. A loss is a loss. Do you want to go back on your words? Ji Yufei still looked indifferent. Go to hell. Lu Chenglong roared and directly attacked Ji Yufei. The pair of meteor hammers directly bombarded Ji Yufei's head with shocking power. However, the next moment, everyone's eyeballs almost fell out of their sockets. They saw Ji Yufei block the two meteor hammers that were as big as watermelons with one finger in each hand. How is that possible? Especially the martial artists from the Lu clan, they were all stunned. He blocked a blow from a Grand Master with just one finger. Everyone felt like they were in a dream. Everything seemed so unreal to them. At that moment, Ji Yufei had already snatched the meteor hammer from Lu Chenglong's hand. He stretched out his right hand and directly stuffed the meteor hammer into Lu Chenglong's mouth. Bam! Lu Chenglong was directly sent flying. His teeth were all knocked out and blood was flowing. Ha ha! Look, someone is eating the meteor hammer. The little boy Wu Ji clapped his hands happily. You're courting death. At that moment, an earth-shattering power arrived. The martial artists from the Wu village who were gloating immediately felt like a mountain was pressing down on them. They were all shocked. Lu Chengfeng, the master of the Lu clan, was furious. Chapter 3988. Lu Chenglong was a master realm warrior, and a mid-level one at that. Even a Wu pharmacist could not defeat him in one move. However, this inconspicuous young man had defeated Lu Chenglong in one move. No matter how Lu Chenglong attacked, he could not hurt this young man. Everyone, look! Someone is eating a meteor hammer, haha. At this time, the little boy Wu Ji was clapping his hands and laughing. Ji Yufei directly stuffed the meteor hammer into Lu Chenglong's mouth. The meteor hammer was bigger than a watermelon. Naturally, Lu Chenglong could not eat it. Although a master realm warrior was powerful, he was not omnipotent. Soon, all of Lu Chenglong's teeth were knocked out by the meteor hammer. His mouth was full of blood. He staggered back, but he could not avoid the meteor hammer in Ji Yufei's hand. Since you said that you can't kill me with one finger, you will eat this pair of meteor hammers. Then, you will eat him now. Ji Yufei's face was indifferent. There was no expression on his face. The meteor hammer in his hand was constantly stuffed into Lu Chenglong's mouth. Soon, Lu Chenglong's whole face was badly mutilated by the impact of the meteor hammer. Stop! A majestic shout was heard. Then, a figure like a big bird fell from the sky and fiercely pounced on Ji Yufei. Don't be so arrogant, boy. Lu Chengfeng made his move. He directly threw a punch at Ji Yufei below. A violent fist force erupted, creating a strong gust of wind in the void, causing the surrounding sand and stones to fly. The surrounding Lu family warriors quickly retreated to the distance. Ji Yufei was expressionless. He directly waved the meteor hammer in his hand and smashed it upward. Bang! While everyone was still in shock, Lu Chengfeng's fist smashed onto the meteor hammer. In the next moment, countless cracks appeared on the meteor hammer, and then it exploded with a bang. The meteor hammer, which was made of refined steel, was unexpectedly destroyed by Lu Chengfeng's punch. This surprised the surrounding warriors. The meteor hammer exploded and turned into countless fragments that shot out in all directions. The surrounding martial artists were suddenly alarmed and hurriedly dodged. However, not everyone could dodge those fragments. Screams resounded as more than 10 Lu clan cultivators fell to the ground in pain. Some of them were hit in their vital parts and soon died. When the martial artists in the martial village saw this, they could not help but feel apprehensive. Damn it! Lu Chengfeng was shocked and angry at the same time. He was pushed back by the counterforce and landed on the chariot. His entire arm was numb. It's my turn. After saying that, Ji Yufei charged towards the Lu family's army of 3,000 cultivators. Surprisingly, he was going to fight against the army of cultivators all by himself. This guy, seeing this scene, all the martial artists were inexplicably shocked. One person against an army, and it was an army formed by 3,000 martial artists. Even a martial Dao Grand Master would find it hard to fight 1,000 soldiers alone. Everyone who witnessed Ji Yufei charging at the Lu clan's army thought that Ji Yufei had gone mad. Kill! 3,000 cultivators roared at the same time. Their berserk strength gathered together. With the enhancement of the battle formation, they became even more powerful in an instant. Swoosh! The leader made a move right away, and the strength of 3,000 cultivators gathered together. Boom! Ji Fei crashed forward like a mountain. The next moment, he broke into the battle formation like an arrow. Several Lu clan cultivators turned into a mist of blood in an instant. Both their bodies and souls were destroyed. What, on the chariot, Lu Chengfeng, who saw this scene, could not help but be dumbfounded. The strength of 3,000 cultivators was definitely more powerful than a peak grandmaster. However, in front of Ji Fei, this strength was nothing. Ever since Ji Fei fell into samsara, he had been cold as if he did not know how to smile at all. The warriors around him were directly blasted away by him. They were like rags, dead before they could even fall to the ground. How dare you? Lu Chengfeng was shocked and angry. He never thought that even the battle formation could not trap Ji Fei. Why wouldn't I dare? Ji Fei spoke indifferently. He was like a true dragon that rampaged through the Lu clan's battle formation, and it was as if he was invincible. This caused everyone to be extremely shocked. Humph! The other Lu clan cultivators rushed into the battle formation, and the power of the battle formation suddenly increased. However, Ji Fei was still invincible. Bam! He swung his meteor hammer and directly smashed a Lu clan warrior into a bloody mist. Then, he swept his leg out and nearly kicked another warrior in half at the waist. Here you go. Ji Fei directly smashed the remaining meteor hammer at Lu Chenglong. The speed of this meteor hammer was extremely fast, and it hit in front of Lu Chenglong in an instant. Lu Chenglong was shocked and quickly retreated, but it was too late. The meteor hammer directly smashed between his chest and abdomen. In the next moment, his entire upper body exploded and turned into a mist of blood. Poor Lu Chenglong, a dignified martial Dao grandmaster, was killed by a meteor hammer. No one would believe it even if they told others. However, this scene happened right in front of everyone's eyes. Third brother. Lu Chengfeng's eyes were red. He roared and leaped from the chariot. In the next moment, as if a divine eagle had appeared in the sky, a pair of eagle claws fiercely grabbed at Ji Fei's head. However, Ji Fei just punched upward. There was no powerful fluctuation of power, nor was there any magic. It was just an ordinary punch. The sound of bones breaking was heard. Lu Chengfeng immediately retreated. Ji Fei was like an invincible ferocious beast from ancient times. His physical body was so strong that it was unimaginable. Every move he made was filled with great power. How is this possible? 1 against 1,000, Ji Fei swept away all his enemies. No one could withstand a single punch from him. Even the Lu clan's patriarch, Lu Chengfeng, was the same. In just one move, both of his hands were crippled by Ji Fei. You killed Chu Tianshu, not Medicine Master Wu. Lu Chengfeng suddenly shouted. Retreat. Lu Chengyun immediately ordered a retreat. In just a few breaths' time, the Lu clan's 3,000 elite soldiers had already lost close to 1,000 people. 1/3 of the soldiers were smashed to death by Ji Fei's fists. In the martial village, the martial cultivators were extremely excited when they saw this scene. No one would have thought that Ji Fei was so powerful that he could fight 1,000 people alone. Those were martial Dao soldiers. A battle formation formed by 3,000 soldiers could almost fight against an innate realm warrior. This was the Lu clan's trump card. Whether or not the Lu clan could become a first-rate force in the Divine Dragon country depended on this battle formation. However, this battle formation was destroyed by Ji Fei alone. This almost drove Lu Chengfeng crazy. This was a battle formation that he had spent countless efforts to build. I'll kill you. Lu Chengfeng roared. Big brother, run. Chapter 3989. Tai Yuan World, East Domain, Divine Dragon Mountain Range, in the Kingdom of Divine Dragon. The Lu clan planned to take advantage of the Chu clan's weakness to destroy the Chu clan and take over their territory. Everything was going smoothly. Under the leadership of Lu Chengfeng, the 3,000 soldiers of the Lu clan were invincible. They charged toward Chu City like a hot knife through butter. However, when they killed their way into the surrounding villages, they were stopped by a small village. The Wu village was a village that had produced an expert in both martial arts and medicine. Although the Wu village was small, with only a few thousand people, it was the most powerful village in the Tenli 8 villages. This was because there was a martial Dao master, Medicine Master Wu. Medicine Master Wu was a legend in the Tenli 8 villages. Not only was he a martial Dao master, but he was also a miraculous doctor. His medical skills were superb, and he was widely respected by the people. However, no one would have thought that apart from Medicine Master Wu, there was also a hidden true dragon in the Wu village. A true dragon that was even more powerful and terrifying than Medicine Master Wu. Not only did the clan leader of the Chu clan, Chu Tianshu, die in the hands of this man, but even the martial Dao soldiers of the Lu clan were defeated by this man. Ji Yufei did not chase after the defeated dogs of the Lu clan. He turned around and returned to the Wu village. At this moment, everyone in the Wu village was in awe of Ji Yufei. Wherever Ji Yufei passed, they would automatically make way for him. Haha, Big Brother is the best after all. How could those useless chickens and stray dogs be a match for Big Brother? Only the little boy, Wu Ji, walked up to Ji Yufei eagerly. Ji Yufei patted Wu Ji's little head, then held his hand and walked to the back of the Wu village. He liked the peace and quiet there. However, Ji Yufei knew that it would be impossible for him to have peace and quiet after this battle. Sigh, if Ah Hu leads us all the way, we might be able to take over the entire Lu clan's territory. Someone in the Wu village said with pity. Our Wu village has a medicine master, and now we have a Hu. Our Wu village is destined to become the master of this territory. Someone said excitedly. Ji Yufei consecutively defeated the Chu clan and the Lu clan. This made the people of the martial village overjoyed, and they also saw the hope of the martial villages rise. Perhaps the martial village would be able to soar into the sky in one go. Some people in the Wu village were even planning how to take over the Chu family's territory. In the Taiyuan realm, the strong preyed on the weak. Whoever had the strongest fist was the boss. As long as Ji Yufei was strong enough, he could do whatever he wanted in the Taiyuan realm. However, none of this was what he wanted. What he wanted was to recover his memories and know where he came from. He had even forgotten his own name, but the people of Wu village gave him a domineering name, Ah Hu, which was as strong and domineering as a fierce tiger. Medicine Master Wu didn't take the chance to chase after the Lu clan's soldiers. Apothecary Wu was quite a character. He was obsessed with martial arts and the art of healing. He didn't have the heart to contend for hegemony. Otherwise, the surrounding villages would have long belonged to the Wu village. What a pity, what a pity. Some people in the Wu village felt that it was a pity. One should know that the Chu and Lu clans' territories were huge. If they could rule over these two territories, the Wu village could become a first-rate force in the Divine Dragon country. When the news of the Wu village defeating the Lu clan spread, the entire Divine Dragon mountain range was shaken. Even the king of the Divine Dragon country was surprised and turned his attention to the Wu village. Although the Chu and Lu clans were only second-rate forces in the Divine Dragon country, they weren't weak cultivation clans. How could they be defeated by a Wu village that no one had ever heard of? Could it be that an innate realm warrior was born in this Wu village? An innate realm warrior was a big shot in the Divine Dragon country. If an innate realm warrior was born in the Wu village, it wouldn't be a small matter. Capital of the Divine Dragon country, in the Palace Hall, is the Crown Prince in the Divine Dragon mountain range? Let him go to the Wu village to take a look. If an innate realm warrior is born in the Wu village, it would be a great merit to recruit him. The king of the Divine Dragon country, Zhu Xian, said to a servant beside him. Yes. The servant hurriedly accepted the order and left the palace hall. In the capital of the Divine Dragon country, the royal Zhu clan was the #1 force. In the entire Divine Dragon country, there were only two top-notch families, the Wang clan and the Qin clan. Just as the king of the Divine Dragon country passed down the decree, the Wang clan and the Qin clan also took action. The Wang clan and the Qin clan also sent people to the Wu village. Ji Yufei's guess was right. Once he defeated the Lu clan, he wouldn't be able to live peacefully anymore. In the Divine Dragon mountain range, the divine light that descended from the sky attracted the attention of countless people. However, everyone who entered the Divine Dragon mountain range only found a giant pit. On a mountain peak beside the giant pit, a young man in white was fanning himself and looking at the giant pit. What exactly fell from the sky and created such a giant pit here? Could it really be like the rumors say, that a deity descended from the sky and created this giant pit? Just as the white-robed young man was in deep thought, a golden bird suddenly shot towards him like an arrow and landed directly on his shoulder. The young man in white removed the fist-sized golden bird and saw a small bamboo tube tied to its leg. He removed the bamboo tube from the golden bird's leg and released the golden bird. "Father wants me to go to the Wu village?" The young man in white looked at the small piece of paper in his hand and was a little confused. However, he immediately turned around and went down the mountain, quickly disappearing into the mountains. At this time, the people of the Wu village actually wanted to take over Chu City. In the name of the second granduncle, they gathered the cultivators of the Wu village and sent an envoy to Chu City, asking the Chu clan to get lost. Unexpectedly, the Chu clan in Chu City actually got lost. This was something that even the second granduncle and the others did not expect. The Chu clan was afraid. Even the Lu clan was defeated by the Wu village. What could the Chu clan possibly offer to fight against the Wu village? Therefore, the Chu clan admitted defeat. The second granduncle and the others also sent people to Lu City at the same time. However, this time, the Lu clan directly killed the unlucky envoy. Lu Chengfeng even clamored that he would seek revenge on Ji Yufei. "Killing our Wu village's envoy, the Lu clan is seeking death." An aged roar came from the Wu village. Soon, someone went to Ji Yufei and asked for Ji Yufei's help. However, Ji Yufei could not be bothered. He only cared about teaching the little kid Wu Ji martial arts. Although he couldn't remember anything, he could see the flaws and weaknesses in Wu Ji's martial path at a glance. Under Ji Yufei's guidance, the little kid Wu Ji's martial arts cultivation actually broke through to the 6th level of the mortal realm. This was a little brat, but he had actually cultivated to the 6th heaven of the mortal realm. This was too heaven-defying. Even the royal family of the divine dragon nation had not cultivated to the 6th heaven of the mortal realm at such a young age. This is the Wu village.